And welcome to another edition of Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven, for July 30th, 2020. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven, 28-year veteran of comics, science fiction, fantasy, horror, and role-playing games as an artist, writer, and illustrator. Before we get into introducing our guest this week, I have to do our usual notice, and that is, in accordance with the new COPPA regulations, this episode of Quoth the Raven is intended for ages 16 and up. Some of the content we will feature is kid-friendly. The context of the episode is to address and educate older teens and adults to inform them of said content for them to research as consumers in service of their youth. In other words, parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, teachers, librarians, etc. There is always the possibility of adult language present on the episode as well, rated TV 16 and up. Whoop. Nope, gotta get the right. There we go. And here our guests this week are Jeremy Massie, creator of the comic book series HOLLER, as well as Amazing Age, and I believe you did a new book that's going to be coming out soon involving Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about those. And our other guests tonight are Dylan Klein and Lane Brettschneider. Did I pronounce that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. And their book is called STARSIDE, and it is they've got is that Kickstarter or Indiegogo? I'm trying to remember.
Kickstarter.
Okay. I'll have to pull that up real quick while I'm doing something here. Make sure I got to share that at least. There we go. That's there. At least I got it on the side. Let's see what I've got going on here. My computer's being silly as usual. It does that a lot. There we go. Now, we talked about how we were going to do this a little bit yesterday. So we agreed that Jeremy was going to go first.
I don't remember, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
We were all.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just running my mouth, man.
Well, we all were running our mouths, but
yeah.
We're going to talk about. I can get this page to open. Why isn't that opening? There we go. There we go. We're going to talk about his new series, HOLLER.
Yeah.
And we're going to start with the first issue. This is one of the covers. One of our regular viewers, John Norris, says hello to everyone.
Hi, John.
Hello, John.
John is my music supervisor, so you can thank him for the opening theme music.
Are you related to Chuck Norris at all?
No, he's not.
Oh.
But the publisher is It's Alive, and the creator, writer, artist is Jeremy Massie. The genre is teenage slice of life rock and roll. And I'm pretty sure the first issue was released July 1st. Was that correct?
That sounds about right. Well, somewhere in there. We had the shutdown.
Right.
Shutdown, so I'm not sure exactly when it actually.
I'm pretty sure that's when I got it, because that's when I did the original review on it.
Right.
It was $5.99. And what it's about is the story about the formation of a teenage rock band set in the early 1990s in the Appalachian Mountains of Virginia, as told by the guitarist of the band. It talks about the silly hypocrisies of the church and society against music and the typical anti-gay attitudes and other stuff that was prevalent in the era and certainly in that part of the country. Has a very underground indie comics vibe, similar to other works I've reviewed, like The Stereos and Rockzilla. Unfortunately, I can't get to those books right now. Otherwise, I would have shared them with you tonight. I shared them in the previous episode when I reviewed it the first time. But I think this book is geared more towards teenagers than all ages, as the other books were. I recommended this series for 13 and up. Does that sound right for you, Jeremy?
Yeah, that sounds fun. Yeah.
Okay. And on the first episode, I gave, or first issue rather, I gave 3.5 out of 5.
Okay.
That
man.
It's a little bit high and not a little bit above average with room to grow, basically, is what I was thinking. And
sounds like my life in general. Actually.
Yes. Nick Cagnetti is in the viewer chat room. He says hi, everybody.
I know that guy. I don't know him
he says hi, everybody, just listening and while working on stuff. And John's response to your question, Jeremy. Since my full name is John Claude Norris, I used to say that I was related to both Chuck Norris and John Claude Van Damme.
It's a hell of a roundhouse kick to the face. Then I mess with.
And he's 6, and I think he's like 6'3",
Ouch. That would be a roundhouse.
Very tall.
Yeah.
So
I'm like 5'3". I'd be doomed.
So yeah, but we'll go ahead and there we go. I keep hitting the wrong button. It keeps
It's like my forehead.
Yeah. Go ahead and tell us a little bit more about the book, Jeremy.
Well, I don't want to
spoil anything.
You explained it really well. It's about where I'm from. I'm from the Appalachian Mountains up in Virginia. And that's the way we say it up there. We like apple, like have an apple, throw it at you. Apple at you, not Appalachia. There's no schwa in there.
Yeah.
Noted.
But which is fine. You can say it anyway, I suppose. But we say it the other way. But I don't like want to. I'm not dogging that place out. I'm from there, and I really love where I'm from. But it's about me.
No, it's not just about where you're from. It's about an era and the culture that's there.
Right, it is. It's about universal things too. Growing up, and it's just a lot of comics and stories in general that are about bands too. They tend to be about like the stuff that I've seen anyway. It tends to be about like people that got famous. You know, it's like a bio of like Queen or you know the one that
Guns N' Roses, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and those all follow sort of the same. You know, like rise to fame kind of things get crappy, and then it's all the same stuff. But most of the stuff I remember from being in bands is more like a little more like intimate. It's about people hanging out, and it's about being in a van for like 3 hours and in a bar or a club somewhere for like 3 hours, hanging out with your friends and things like that. And I wanted to do a story about like all the experiences I've had when I played music and stuff. And so that's how like the format I'm trying to like do each issue self-contained stories. So I mean, if you don't read the first one, you can read the second one, that kind of thing. It's kind of easy. I tried to make it easy to kind of pick up on because
I actually commend you for that. I wish more did that because it's so hard. A lot of retailers won't buy consistently, and you're missing books. And with serialization, that's why people are waiting for trades all the time.
Right, and I think
that hurts everybody.
If it's going to be in that format, which it is, there's like in the first issue, I think there's like maybe 3 or 4 stories. There's like single page, like strips, and then there's like a couple that are 10, 12 pages, and then 5 pages. So I try to keep doing that in issue 2. And I do that for a couple of reasons. At first, I was going to do like a more like what I've done before, which is like graphic novel that has a 3-act structure, beginning, middle, and end, but it's a couple of issues long. But I thought if you're going to tell a story about growing up or about how I grew up anyway, there's just too much that I wanted to get in there. And if I had like some kind of through line, I would miss a lot of things.
Sure.
And I didn't want to. And I just wanted to do something where I could do different types of stories too, but just kind of have that the parameters there, like the band thing and they're all going to be similar that way, but I can kind of do whatever I want.
Right.
Which I really enjoyed. I come from like mini comics too originally. Is what I did originally, and a lot of those, and I grew up to like reading stuff like Hate and like 8 Ball and like Love and Rockets, and Love and Rockets especially, like, and things like that, like you had the one set of characters or the 2 sets of characters because you had 2 brothers or 3 sometimes, but mainly 2. And they had like their characters, and you just followed them through their life kind of, and that's what I kind of want to do, is just follow like maybe the last couple of years of these kids in high school and just pile stuff on, and just I can do it as long as I want. I can end it whenever I want. I mean, it's kind of just there. I can drop off, pick up, whatever. But each issue should have a couple of stories in there, so there's a lot to kind of to chew on. Like, and it's not it's not just like one longer thing.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and show some of the artwork from it. This is the character whose name is Mark in the book.
Right.
And he's talking about how he goes to church because that's what what is it? The youth group thing.
Right.
Yeah. And he's wearing a Nirvana T-shirt, and they go to youth. He goes to youth group. He's wearing a shirt, and there was a quote from Kurt Cobain, who was the lead singer for Nirvana, where he says, "God is gay, abort Christ."
Right. He used to. That was like a graffiti thing that he used to spray paint.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's what that is.
Yeah. Was that something that actually happened to you, or was that something you just made up?
This is the first Holler story, and it actually wasn't a Holler story. It was there's a magazine called Believer. It's called Believer Magazine. I think it's out of I can't remember what it's. I think it has something to do with UNLV, but it's a nice magazine. I've read it before. Charles Burns, I think, used to do a lot of stuff in it. I'd seen it before. And I think some of my friends had been in it as well. I believe Jonathan Hill, a friend of mine, had been in there. And they have a music issue each year. Mm-hmm. And so I got in touch with the comic editor. There's strips in there, as well as like just, articles and things like that. And I just did that. That's more autobiographical, that story. Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure if he's called Mark in that or anything, but
okay. Well,
so I did that first, and then, so yeah, that's pretty autobiographical. I changed a little bit to make it more of a story, but that happened to me once when I was a kid.
Okay. Ted Davies Artistry, who's another one of our regular guests, says good evening. And Mark Andrew Smith, writer for Gladstone School for World Conquerors. He was Top Gun and stuff like that. He says, agree with that on the format, the single issues being self-contained. That's cool. I like singles because I feel like the process and using the singles to workshop and craft them and around is nice.
Yeah, it's actually harder. It's been harder. Well, at times, because you have to. Comics have become really, so decompressed the past, I guess, 20 years or so. Mm-hmm. And just I read a lot of older things to kind of see how they went about. I read a lot of 1010 actually. Mm-hmm. If you read those old 1010 stories, so much crap happens in the span of 2 pages, and it's just how is that all in there? But it doesn't seem like it's too much. It's paced really well. So I looked at a lot of that. I looked at a lot of, like I said, 90s stuff, or that I grew up reading, kind of when I got into indie comics. So I read a lot of Pete Bagg and a lot of Hernandez Brothers and stuff.
And this is another page from the first issue of Holler, where Mark shows the rest of the band members the design and the name of the band, Magnesium Mama. Was that the actual name of your band?
You're damn right it was. That was the first band I was ever in, man. Me, Jeff Blanton, Tommy Bowling, and Jason Kilgore, better known as T-Bone, who was the best man in my wedding, T-Bone. But yeah, that was the first band I was ever in, and it was really something, let me tell you. Oh my God.
That's the actual name of the band. That's actually cool, though.
Yeah, and that poster that he's holding up, I did a drawing, I think, of it, I think our first show we played at this place called Java Gins. It's like a coffee house, and that's what the poster looked like. It was this old woman, a profile of this old woman's face. And there was these weird. I smoked a lot of drugs back then. There was these weird things in the background, all floating. Don't tell my mom. She did. But yeah, that's some of it. It's obviously autobiographical.
Mark says, "Yeah, I think Tintin has 1 billion panels per page."
Sometimes it seems like it does, but it really does. Yeah, It's crazy to look at now. So.
Nick Technay says, "What a band name!"
Yeah, I've had worse band names. I kind of like that band name.
Yeah, well, there was quite a few people that had crazy band names. I can remember. I mean, I knew a lot of them, different bands when I was. In high school and college that, and of course I had my own, but I mean, the Birds at the End of the Road, all those fatal flowers.
What is that one?
All those fatal flowers.
Oh, that's metal, dude. That was a goth band, wasn't it?
No.
I see makeup in that one.
That was more of an REM band.
Oh, okay.
That kind of makes sense.
Hey,
yeah. Let's see. What else? Excalibur. I think it was one of the band. And well, their album cover was kind of cool because they used the album sort of like it was the needle of the record player.
Right.
And the sword was like on the playing the record.
That's dope. I like that.
So that was actually kind of a cool thing. And they called the name of their band was Knights of the Sound, or the name of their album was called Knights of the Sound Table. So I was like, it's like, okay.
See, those things sound like those sound like really good ideas when you're in the van driving somewhere, driving back, and then you just have to go with it. It's like, the Replacements, they named that one album that had Let It Be just because it was on the radio and they didn't have a name for their album. They're like, next thing that comes on the radio seems like a good idea, but then you're like, wait a minute. Actually, you know what? That is a good idea. Yeah, that sounds like one of those band ideas where you're drunk or something. And, let's do that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It was just that sort of weirdness that they had. I mean, there's certain ones that are just like everybody names their band Trigger Happy. I think I know of at least 10 bands that call themselves Trigger Happy.
That's got to be Southern rock. I mean, it's got to be.
Well, not in Michigan.
Hey, a lot of people from Michigan might as well be from the South. My wife's from the South. A lot of people from where I'm from, no jobs. Where did they go? They went to Michigan. So
they went to Michigan looking for jobs.
There is a hillbilly contingent in Michigan that just
there definitely is. There definitely is. Don't get me wrong.
It shows. You can tell, especially out near Detroit and stuff.
Well, what do you think about that, Lane?
Yeah, like you're from
I'd say definitely up north. There's probably more than the areas that I never went to. It seems more southern up north in Michigan.
Weird, isn't it? Yeah, up north. It's more like down south.
Yeah.
We hit this wormhole and you end up back in the south. So.
That's what it is. Yes.
Devil's Night in Detroit.
Wait a minute. I know exactly where it is. That's off the Poor Farm Road. And I'm not kidding. There is a Poor Farm Road right where I used to live, about 2 miles.
You're paying for wormholes.
Yeah. But and it was nothing but like woods and mudding and all that stuff. But they're 4-wheel drive and their ATVs back then.
That sounds like my book, pretty much. I mean, that's it. That
Let's see here. And we're going to go ahead and talk about your next issue here as well.
Yeah, please do.
And that's the current one that's going to be out. It's being solicited in this month's previews. It just came out yesterday.
Yep.
Holler number 2 from It's Alive Publishing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was solicited yesterday. And I say there might be trouble in Magnesium Mama's Paradise, as they might have a Yoko in their group. Jay's girlfriend, Cassie, is getting a little pushy and making suggestions about the band and flirting with Dave in front of Jay. Phil's suspicious and doesn't like her, and Mark isn't sure what to think. Where will it lead? And I gave that one a 4-star.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I think it looks better. No. There's always...
I do think your artwork did improve, actually.
Yeah, I think it looks a little... sometimes you just kind of figure out what you're doing.
And these are the 2 covers. There's cover A and cover B.
Yes. Kind of a romance comic vibe. That's me. That looks like me singing to the first girlfriend I had. That's sad. You know it's going to end badly. But no.
And these are the actual order codes. For the August catalog, it's August AUG 20 1148 for the cover on the left, and 21449 for the one on the right.
Right. So order those, damn it. Yeah, it's the whole Yoko thing. I used to be one of those people too. Like, there's always a guy in the band that's like, "Oh, don't bring your girlfriend, Yoko." I think she gets a bum rap. That was just a bunch of guys, the Beatles that just broke up. That happens. But there's always that guy,
I agree, because I actually play in a band where husband and wife are in the band.
Oh my!
Never had any problem.
No problem. Okay.
No problem at all. So it is just a myth. It
is. Yeah. She gets a bum rap.
Well, but again, you look at Fleetwood Mac and the disaster that became that.
True.
They managed to survive it, but they went through hell too. Yeah.
That's true. But yeah, it's kind of about that. There's always.
I mean, being in a band has its own type of pressures too, because it's one thing when we're with our friends and we're doing the club thing here and there. You're not touring cross crazy. You're not getting. At least I don't know anybody that was in the small scene, so to speak, that got like tons of drugs handed to them all the time.
No,
When I say tons
they
of
didn't
drugs,
hand them. You had to pay for them, I think.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, no, when you get big, they hand them to you here.
I have
Party.
kids. I have kids, and I don't do anything now. So
Yeah.
I think the worst I do is like I eat some bacon a lot every once in a while.
Bacon is a drug. Bacon is a drug.
My drugs are for my heart condition now.
Yeah. Cholesterol medicine is what.
Cholesterol
my
medicine,
choice.
diabetes medicines, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yep.
But
No,
yeah,
I was
there's
never-
always like
I was
like
never into
the
that.
band thing you were talking. There's always like it's. I like to tell stories about people, just small stories about people interacting with each other. It's the perfect thing to use, and it's
Mhm.
something that I like to do, and I want to do more of it. So issue 2, there's more of it, and you don't have to read the first one to read it. I did like a cool catch up page, like you can
Right.
read it and catch up, and find out who everybody is. So, yeah. There's the
And
new one.
here's the part of this artwork from that. I did change the lighting on this a little bit, lighten it up, and the graphics. The actual book is printed on a type of newsprint, isn't it?
No, I make it look that way.
You make it
yeah.
look like it's on newsprint, but it's not.
Right.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. So that
yeah.
was very wise of you, because I'm doing it for print, certainly.
Mhm.
I think that the way that I'm coloring it, like the backgrounds I'm using, like kind of like a textured thing from old
Mhm.
comics that I've kind of ripped, and then the foregrounds are just kind of traditional, not traditional, but just colored like on the computer.
Mhm.
So it's kind of I don't know, but there's the texture on there for when it prints
Mhm.
to make because if you print on, a lot of times my artwork anyway, on kind of newer glossier paper, I don't think looks as swell as I want it to. I think my stuff kind of looks, I don't know, it just kind of dulls down some things. So yeah,
It just
that was
depends on the
smart.
type of paper. It depends on the type of paper you use, and
Right.
I don't know what size graphics you're using.
I'm using, I can't remember what I'm working at, but yeah, the
Are
comic
you
itself.
are you drawing on computers directly, or are you actually doing traditional and then scanning?
The first one was on good old fashioned paper. I think it starts at what did I draw it at? It wasn't 11 by 17. It was like maybe 11 by 4. Something strange. I did it.
11 by 14 is not strange. It's just
No, it's just a different shape than a traditional comic. You usually do 11 by 17, but I kind of wanted it more square. I've done books. It's not completely square, but I did a book called All My Ghosts. That was
that's just the actual physical copy.
Yeah. I wanted it to be a weird size.
I should take it out of the.
It kind of
Yeah,
looked
what
like
the hell is that?
Like a record?
like a 7-inch almost, kind of like record.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. And I still got a little bit of a sheen there from my light, but yeah, it is. I actually put it in a magazine
Yeah,
slip instead of a comic slip.
piss
So-
off everybody. Yeah, they're like, this doesn't fit in my
I don't know.
Mylar.
I actually I'm a big proponent of doing them with different sizes than the traditional comics. My artwork is 8.5 by 11.
Right. The reason I did it that
I do a lot of
size was,
comics 8.5 by 11 over the years.
the reason I did it that size was because the first magazine, that Believer magazine thing I did, was that size, and I was like, I kind of like it, and I just kind of stuck with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So-
did Drew over at It's Alive argue with you on that, or?
No, he said that there might be some pushback from
Retailers.
Diamond or whatever, but
Diamond and retailers, they always push
Yeah.
back on everything.
I don't think there was that I know of. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's one thing I do find. I mean, the retailer will, we know what sells. Yeah, what you want to sell. That's what sells.
right.
Yeah. If you don't want to sell it, you know, you don't order it. Of course, it didn't sell. You
Right.
order it, but you just throw it on a shelf in the back room somewhere and never promote it. It doesn't sell. It's because the artist didn't promote it enough. Yeah. But yeah,
Tough. It's tough.
it is what it is. But let's see here. Let me go ahead and take another look here. If we got any more art from that issue? Yes, we do. And this is where Cassie is face painting Dave like the Crow. and I'm like, okay, is he a wrestling fan too?
No. That was a big movie when that came out. Like,
Yes, it was. It was.
yeah, like for us when we were that age, like we were too young to actually get into R-rated movies. Well, maybe I don't know. It's kind of close, but that was a big movie. Like we all loved that movie. Like I'd read it.
The reason I mentioned
before,
about the wrestling is I don't know if you're familiar with wrestling character.
Sting. Yeah,
Sting.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was a huge Sting fan. But I was a Sting fan before even that part of him when he was a surfer dude with the flat top blonde hair and
I
actually.
remember that. You know?
But yeah, it was like yeah. I could just see the pink hair that he has with the Sting Crow paint. That'd be funny.
A bunch of us though, when we were that age, like there's tons of pictures of like me and my friends, and there's always like that one Halloween where one of us, I think we probably took turns. Like one year, somebody was the Crow, and then somebody, you know, I don't know. That just seemed to be like, I don't know. That seemed appropriate when I was writing
Well,
it.
let's see. That was like 90 or 91, so I was like 18 or 19 at the time.
Yeah, the movie I think was mid '90s. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I try to do like the '90s stuff, kind of like keeping. It's like at a certain maybe to like 90.
Yeah, 94. That's when it came out. Was 94.
Yeah, like in the book where I'm doing, I'm like 90 to 95. That it took place in there. I'm kind of like this magic vacuum or magic, you know, space of time where I just don't care about how accurate it is. So,
yeah, you know when the rough idea,
yeah,
type thing. Yeah.
If I didn't want to worry about that being that specific about it. It'll hinder you more than likely. So
yes, it does at times.
Yeah.
A magical, timeless world where it's
Right.
all grunge time and it never turns into, you know, Britney Spears or whatever.
Right.
Was around.
Grunge time. I remember Britney Spears happened. I went to college, and it happened when I was at college. And when I was in college, we didn't have cable in the dorms, or anything like that. And this was like kind of when we just kind of had the internet, just barely.
Mhm.
That's how old I am. But I came back. I came back home, and when I left, like it was like, you know, still like doing that, you know, alternative thing. And the only thing that was kind of close to that was like the Spice Girls. And then when I left and I came back, like it was Britney Spears, like 98 Degrees. I'm like, what the hell happened? You know, it's weird. So
I like how you referred to Britney Spears getting big as like it happened. like it was an event.
apparently we need to save her. She's in trouble apparently. But
Yeah, it's true.
yeah, it's sad. But
Well, save her. I mean,
you don't want to save her? I mean, she's in trouble, man. She's doing like codes on Instagram, like.
I read like articles recently when
her father's got control of her stuff because she had a breakdown. I know that,
Right.
and that's always hard to get out of once you've had that type of psychological breakdown to be say yes, you're clear. But I don't know. I
feel sad for poor Britt. But,
yeah. I mean, I think everybody still felt sad when she started shaving her head on live TV.
I thought that was perfectly fine. I was more interested in her when she did that. I was like,
That was punk rock.
punk days, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. That was, geez, my high school years were the late '80s, so I was like Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses, Poison. That stuff was being the thing, and I was just like, okay,
No Tears for Fears. I'm just kidding.
That was actually before.
Oh, that is kind of earlier, isn't it? I was
Yeah.
listening to him on the radio the other day. Sorry.
Tears of Fear was like 83 to 85.
Yeah. First record was good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And-
Anyway.
No. Music is music. You said you played in the band as well, Dylan.
Yes, I'm currently playing in them. Yep.
Okay. What do you play?
I play guitar as well.
Everybody plays guitar.
It's just I have two other guitarists in my family, and so I just kind of gravitated toward it. Like,
Right.
so yeah.
Bass or regular or?
I play electric guitar, but I mean, like I would dabble in bass if possible. But I just don't own a bass.
Rhythm guitar for his
Yeah.
band and playing for like over 10.
Yeah, it's
way
probably
over
like
10
11,
years
probably
now.
11 years come this summer, but
Oh, okay, cool.
at least in a band. But
You need to plug your band, Dylan. Let's go. Come on. SoundCloud. Let's go.
Modern Day Machines is
What
the
is
name
it?
of the
Is the
band.
current-
Modern Day Machines is the new band. It's sort of a 4 out of 5 members of an older band. So we're kind of just starting again. But
Doing
With a
the
new
new
member.
order thing, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've been there, done that. I mean, is there everybody talks about these historic bands, Foreigner and Queen and all these other bands, and they're like yeah, but members died and members came and went. They're not the same anymore as what the original lineups were. So it's like that's part of life, But I just think it's funny when they make a big deal out of it. It's like, it's not the same anymore. I'm like, well, no, it's different people. What do you want? As long as they can perform the songs, what's the difference?
it's true.
Like that.
But let's see. I'm gonna do something here before I. Okay, that's that thing. Okay, I can. Oh, that's that thing. All right. 20 different folders. Okay. So, can we still get Holler #1, Jeremy?
Yeah, if it's not on, it's a live website. I think it's on my website, MassieMakesComics.com.
Massie Makes Comics.
I've got some. Hell, I'll sell them to you.
I'm looking forward to checking that out. It
Yeah.
sounds really awesome. And great.
Just a fun book.
Yeah, like a good
those-
slice of
Is
life.
that correct?
Yeah, character relationships.
Is that correct? MassieMakesComics.com.
Yeah, that's it.
Except there's the S in Makes Comics.
Yes.
Yeah,
geez.
okay.
Makes Comics.
That's gonna bring it to a whole
I'm
other
the
person.
proofreader of our team.
Good
so.
job. Good job.
That
I
link
used
will
to
bring
work
it to a different
newspaper, so I
comic.
can appreciate that.
No, I just got to figure out how to hide that, and it doesn't want to hide. Oh well, I just got to retype it. That's all.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can get that, and I'm also previewing the second issue as I do it. Well, I think Wednesday and Sunday new pages come on there, and I'll at least do my
There we
own
go.
Yoko.
MassieMakesComics.com.
That's it.
There
That's
you
it.
go.
And
Yeah.
Ted Davies. My band in high school was Moxie and the Super Chihuahuas.
That's great. Was
You know what we're going to have to do here? We're going to have a weekend drink and draw. We're all playing our music in the background.
Oh,
Damn.
Yeah, share it with the world. Be proud. Because I mean, I just want to hear some of these bands just through the names of them.
God. I hope that Magnesium Mama and the tapes don't exist, but they probably do. But,
I was actually tempted to drag out some of my old stuff and see if I could play it, but on tapes. But I was so busy making reviews today, I didn't have time.
And our conversation yesterday about use it or lose it basically made me want to pull out my old flute. That's my instrument of choice. I play it once every year and a half. I bring it. I'm like, can I still do this?
Yeah.
I feel like I still got it in there, but gotta practice.
She plays some Jethro Tull every now and then. Just
Hey, I was thinking, well, there's Jethro Tull, and
no, that's about it.
there's Men Without Hats.
Oh yeah, sure.
Men without hats, man. Yeah. Wow.
Well, you can do a lot of. If you don't have a keyboardist, you can do that with the flute. Some of that stuff. So I was like, yeah, I could see where that would work in a band.
I mean, Lizzo has shown that flute can really, rock.
It's true.
Lizzo's the hot new flautist in the world.
Oh yeah.
Well, is she hot now? Like, is she like?
I haven't heard from her in a while, but I don't pay attention to the music scene that much. But
okay,
I'm sure she's
go on to our Dylan and Lane's book now, and that is Starside number 1 and 2. They're $3.99 each. The writers are Dylan and Lane. Their artist is Jordan Chow. The genre is science fiction. And what it's about is when an extraterrestrial fleet invades Earth, teenager Jack is transported from his ordinary life and dropped into the middle of the war universe, where he discovers interplanetary slavers, a crusading army, and the origins of humanity. Can he survive the conflict and return to his family? And will there even be an Earth or a family to return to?
That's a good question.
Yeah, those are questions we want you to be asking.
I gotta hold on a moment here. Jeremy stepped away for a moment.
No, it's fine. I'm here.
Well, it wasn't that. I just I was trying to figure out a way to turn that off without banning you, and it didn't want to do it. That's all. Yeah.
Kicked out.
Yeah. I didn't want to kick him out. He's a good boy. Anyway, go ahead and tell us a little bit more about your book.
Well, that's the synopsis. That was a good one. It is at the moment quite action packed. So we are kickstarting issue 3 right now. So in the Kickstarter, you can get issues 1 through 3. So people can catch up and join the fun. So Jack, in this invasion, Jack and a bunch of other humans get taken prisoner and discover there's a lot more out there than we know of. So just to clarify, this starts off taking place on Earth as we know it today. And so it's quite a shock that there are aliens and there are even more out there than just this one invading army. So in issue 3, he actually runs into this new character, Riggs, we're excited about, who is this young pilot who's got a lot to prove. And so that's Jack and Riggs and Salvin, which is the aliens who invaded Earth in our little preview picture there on the Kickstarter.
Well, hold on just a second, because some people want to get in there on the music again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
John Norris, again, my music director. I'm mainly a keyboardist, but I get out my viola on occasion to keep my playing up, which he does.
That's awesome.
And Ted says, when I get time soon, I'm starting up another rockabilly band, Empty Purses in Paradise. Which, I don't know if that sounds like a band or an album name. That sounds more like an album name to me.
Self-titled. Yeah. First album, self-titled.
I mean, Empty Purses in Paradise sounds like a cross between Stray Cats and Jimmy Buffett.
Rockabilly.
Empty Purses because I drank too many margaritas and had too many cheeseburgers. But yes, let's go ahead and run that Kickstarter. Let you guys let everybody hear it.
Oh, sure.
Oh, we're in the same shirt. That's embarrassing.
Here's a Genji. Let's play bingo.
All right. Now we just need Sailor Moon and the Duck.
Yes. Hi. Hope you've been enjoying Kickstarter Con. I'm Dylan Klein.
I'm Lady Brettschneider. And along with Jordan Powell, we are the creators of STARSIDE.
STARSIDE is our sci-fi fantasy comic series about Jack. He's just going through his normal day of high school when aliens invade Earth and they start taking prisoners. And so Jack gets brought deeper into the universe where he discovers this age-old intergalactic war that Earth has been isolated from. And he starts to uncover why Earth has been kept distant from this conflict and that humanity might actually be the key to stopping the war.
STARSIDE takes inspiration from Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter. It's a hero's journey with unique landscapes, aliens, spaceships, swords, and a little bit of magic. In this campaign, we're offering all 3 issues, so you can get caught up if you're just joining us, or you can jump right back in where you left off and pick up issue 3. You can flip through it if you want. We missed
issue 1 and 2 as a 2-part introduction to Jack and his story. And issue 3 is when the tunnel opens up and reveals the greater STARSIDE universe. You'll get introduced to a new character, a space pilot Riggs, and an exciting new environment that we had a lot of fun creating, Avon Market.
Avon is located in the outskirts of the governed universe, so it's home to some shady characters and dangerous business dealings.
We have some really cool rewards for this campaign. First is the enamel pin in the shape of the S from the STARSIDE logo. We can confirm that the pin looks quite nice on a jacket or backpack.
We also have a variant cover for issue 3. For issues 1 and 2, Jordan made these dope variants featuring Jack and Reese. So for issue 3, we wanted to continue the series and highlight a Salvin, the aliens that attacked Earth. You'll see this particular Salvin a bit more in issue 3.
This campaign also has some great stretch goals. Jordan made a Nebula-inspired background that you can use on your phone or computer.
Or probably a Zoom background.
Our second stretch goal comes from a couple of our really talented friends in the indie comic community. Shizamura captured the spirit of Riggs in his portrait, and Kenny Million really shows off his attention to detail in his print of Jack and Avon Market.
This comic is completely independently created, so we use Kickstarter to help us reach readers all over the world. The funding goes directly into printing and shipping your comics and rewards, and helps us pay Jordan so he can continue to bring the STARSIDE universe to life.
STARSIDE is a passion project that's been brewing in our imagination for years, and we are so excited to get the next chapter of the space epic into your hands.
We hope you'll join us on this adventure.
Hooray!
And okay, well,
Nailed it!
There's a little blooper at the end of our video.
It's painful to watch.
yeah, I did. For those who didn't read it, I backed this campaign on Pledge 17. That's $12 for the print catch-up, and $5 for the shipping and handling.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be coming out in October. And as you can see, they have reached their goal, so you're guaranteed.
Hell
Mm-hmm.
As far as that goes, there's still 13 days to go, and they can still use some support.
Yes, we're definitely trying to reach as many new readers as we possibly can, and we're sending out an update tonight. Actually, letting people know that we've reached both of our planned stretch goals, but we do actually have one little bonus treat up our sleeve that we haven't revealed yet, and we want to get some more backers before we release that into the world. So we just want more people joining the story. So even if that's at the lowest tier to just get some digital comics, that's awesome. We just want people to read it. It's fun.
I love the fact you're wearing the same shirt.
Yep. I haven't changed since I made that video. So.
That's awesome. I have like 5 black shirts. That looks really good, though. It looks really good.
Very much.
Out of curiosity, I mean, you're wearing the back the
Comeback.
back to comeback.
Yeah.
What did you think of that as a platform, so to speak?
I mean, I thought it was pretty cool. We actually for separate reasons recently lost a local comic shop that was like our home, and every day is like I keep I'm reminded that it doesn't exist, and it really is awful.
Hurts.
And
What's your cruise?
what was that?
What was the name of the store?
Comic Book Jones. It was on
Oh,
Staten
okay.
Island, New York. And so we, there was another local store that we knew, once CBJ goes, they exit, then we're going to hop on over to them. We'd already bought stuff through them. We knew some people that worked there. So it just seemed like a seamless jump. And then, when COVID happened, I was like, I don't want to lose another store again. You know what I mean? I already suffered this really hard, and I didn't want to do that again. And so I just sort of, I don't know, I really appreciated at least the sentiment. And I think we were talking about it a little bit yesterday that the one that I'm aware of was Negan Lives from Skybound and Image, that where I believe the shops didn't have to pay for shipping. So they basically are getting every dollar made from that book, which is cool. And I think a couple of other publishers or creators might be doing that. I'm just glad that there's a push to get these shops back on their feet, because that was the biggest problem was that these shops are closed. People just get their comics digitally. There's no need for it, and it's like I disagree. I really like the feeling of walking in there and and having your buddy that works there, someone new that you meet there or something, just kind of
recommending comics you never would have found on your own, and just a community of people who.
If you have that kind of comic shop, yes,
that's true. Most places, I shouldn't say most, but some places don't, and that's very, it's hard.
Well, I had a great store in Michigan, Comics North. It was run by David Elliott for 27 years, and it burned down. Or actually, it didn't burn down. The restaurant next to it burned down, and the water dam trying to put him out of business as a result.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I would go to stores when I moved out west. This is how bad the store was out west. It wasn't even a comic shop; it was a bookstore that carried comics. He would not carry Sandman. He would not carry Sandman Mystery Theater. He would not carry Hellblazer. You're not a goth. Only goths like that shit. That was his reaction.
Wow.
So I came in.
So
I came into the store with my comic boxes. The entire Sandman run, autographed by Gaiman, autographed by Colin Dorn, autographed by Jill Thompson, autographed by Vince Locke. It's like, yeah, I kind of want this series, dummy. Wouldn't get it. Would not get it for me. Mr. Theater, because I know better. I know you're not going to buy it. That was his attitude. So that was the only shop within like 100 miles.
Wow.
Out there. And I was like,
weird.
You're not going to drive 100 miles to Vegas. You call them up and say, hey, can you hold this for me? You get there, they've already sold out, even though they were going to hold it. So it was like I had to do mail order for like from 95 until 2011.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
And I can remember all these people that were creator-owned doing stuff. You don't support us. I'm like, how the heck am I going to support you? I never see your books unless I come to San Diego Con. And then at San Diego Con, I'm buying like 100 books because I'm there in front of you. What do you want from me? But then when I moved out here to West Columbia in South Carolina in 07, and the store was so bad. I was like, well, we won't open up a pull account unless you have a credit card. So I was like, okay, so you won't order anything I want because you don't carry anything I want unless it's a special order. So just give me a catalog and I'll just call my friend Dave up in Michigan and tell him what I want.
It's like video store rules. The credit card, that's weird.
Yeah, well, you kind of understand because there's so many people that want to order stuff and then they just never come in for whatever reason and pick up your books. And it was one thing when comics were $1.50, $2, but at $5, retailers can't afford to be sitting on a lot of stuff. I understand, but it was like at least give a person a chance before you ask for a credit card, But but that's okay. Eventually, when his store burned down, I went to local that weren't that way about it, and it's okay. I mean. I had another store. I don't want to name them locally. They're out of business now, but it was run by an elderly woman because her daughter decided she didn't want it after she had the store.
Oh, wow.
And the elderly woman was like, well, yeah, you can have all your books. I'd go in and I might wait for 3 hours to get my books while everybody else was coming and going because I had all these obscure indies. And she didn't want the other customers to see what I was buying. And I'm like, what's the deal here? It's like 100 degrees outside. My dad's on oxygen outside. Give me my damn books. Finally, his daughter was in there one day, and that happened. And I was like, and her mother was like, well, he doesn't have any real books. He doesn't buy anything. I'm like, go back in that big box because I checked my order form from what comics that are shipping this week. I had an $832 week.
Oh, wow.
Because it was all hardcovers and trades and stuff. And I'm talking like, $50, $60 trades. I had like 7 of them that particular week. And then I had a bunch of other stuff that was high priced as well. And it was just like, okay, okay, from now on, I will take care of you when you come in.
Yeah, you should be VIP.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. So, and then unfortunately, she had to go to a doctor's appointment one day and her mother was in the store all alone, and some people came in. They didn't hurt her, but they 2 of them led her away from the cash register area, and the third person got in behind the cash register and took her purse and left the store.
Oh.
And if she had seen it, you know what could have happened. So that was kind of like that happened, and then Diamond did something about their account that changed their status, and she just said, you know what, this isn't worth running the store anymore.
Yeah.
So they closed.
What's not to change your guys' book? What issue was it on again? I'm sorry.
3.
We're on 3 now.
3?
Yeah.
How many issues do you guys have planned?
1 million.
We kind of did the wrong thing and started with like
an uncommon approach.
and started with a an ongoing series. And I think we briefly mentioned that yesterday, but like but the one of the owners of the comic book store that Comic Book Jones, kind of told us, just always have, you can keep rolling with this, but have something else in your back pocket because they're gonna want to know what else you have. And
Yeah, so we do have an end in mind for STARSIDE, but it's years down the road for the characters in the book, and especially for us as well. It's going to be a long running epic story, but we feel very strongly about it, and we have a pretty solid skeleton for it. So we're going to tell this story as long as it takes to tell it. But then we have some other ideas in the works. One that is more episodic, like we were talking about before,
Right.
Which I liked what you said. You guys were saying about that, and it made me feel like, we really got to work on this story we have. It could, people could like that a lot. And then another one that's just like a limited series, one volume kind of a thing. So
Cool.
There'll be more.
Also, you both write it, right? You're both the writer. How does that work? Like, how does that process work? Does one person do something you guys trade off, or
A lot of
comics?
a little bit of
I've done stuff with other people, but I can't speak. Sometimes, most often, a lot of the time, I work by myself, and just kind of. I've never worked with another writer writing. I kind of wonder how you guys do that.
Very carefully, I think. I think.
I think one thing that people need to understand is that you're a couple.
Yes, we are indeed.
Yeah. That makes it a little bit easier.
Well, it's both favorable and non-favorable.
No, actually, we're very happy. We work really well together as a team in the comic and in life. So STARSIDE was originally just Dylan's idea that he had in his head forever. And so when he told me about it, and I was like, this is great, we got to do something about it. And so he will usually be the first to come up with an idea for a scene, for where the story is going, for a character, etc. And he'll usually, just because he generally has more brain motivation, but also sometimes more time than I do, he'll sit down and write out a scene after we've talked it over with each other and with Jordan and figured out, okay, this is where we want to go. He'll start writing the script, and then sometimes we will sit together and like both be on our computers. We use Google Drive for everything. So all our scripts are in Google Docs, so he and I can be on it simultaneously. So sometimes we'll sit and both be on it and just like figure out a dialogue together at the same time. Sometimes he'll write it out and bring it to me, and we'll edit it together. And then Jordan, he is the artist, but we're all co-creators. So we all have equal say in, the design of everything, the character developments, the script, every part of it. It's all our brainchild. So, a script isn't done until Jordan has seen it and approved it. And the script really isn't done, of course, until the lettering phase, which I think we all know. But so it's always a mix of if it's taking turns or if it's simultaneous writing, but usually taking turns.
Yeah. Do you guys do full scripts, or do you do like what do you call it, like Marvel method or something? You guys do full scripts?
They probably plot and then do scenes, and then when they go into editing, they structure it.
I feel like, I'll be honest, with the 3 issues, 3 issues are on pretty much out but like 4 and 5 are in production. Like I feel like each issue has been done slightly differently. Like the DNA is like still there from the previous one, but we always like tack on a new tactic again, because I think what helps, you know, for us, I think it helps, but to some I can understand how it could be like a bit of a detriment. But like because the three of us work so closely together, it's like, again, it's like I don't think a script is done until Lane and Jordan see it. The same way how Jordan wouldn't just like do a whole issue and then show it to us. Like he goes, you know, page by page or a couple of panels by a couple of panels and like shows us. And, you know, we all like riff off of each other's ideas. I kind of almost like consider it like being in a band in a way. Like we, like, you know, I might play guitar and Lane might play drums and Jordan might do whatever, but like we each have like, just because I don't know how to play the drums, like I'll know when I think I have a sick beat for a part. You know what I mean? So it's just, like we just kind of riff off of what we each are bringing to the table. And,
as far as what the scripts look like, though, you know, maybe because we are relatively new to comics, both reading them and creating them, or just because of, you know, the types of media that we consume, or what. I think our scripts, especially at the beginning, were a little unconventional. They're like a combination of prose and screenplay a little bit. We don't do a panel by panel breakdown or page by page. And so working on issue 5 right now, actually, we're at the paneling stage. So our script right now is like, you know, a paragraph of description. Okay, what does this establishing shot look like? What are we seeing in this scene? And then it'll be, you know, the dialogue back and forth between the characters with description of what they're doing and how they're reacting in there. And then right now, like in our meeting earlier today with Jordan, you're smiling. I want to hear what you have to say.
I'll wait till you're done.
That's like, I like listening to process. I don't talk. I used to hang out with people that drew and made comics, and you know, I'm been stuck at the house. I want to hear about making comics. It's fine. Keep going.
Okay. So in our meeting with Jordan, we were going through the script and figuring out, okay, we already know like this is a page and this is a page, because that was the next step in the process, is where with the page breaks, where the turns, all that. And so then, okay, this is what's on this page. How do we want to panel this out? So that's where we are now, and that's what our process is looking like.
So you guys gel pretty well with the artist. Where did you meet him? Is that someone you knew, or did you?
Destiny, yes. He's my best friend's brother, one of my best friends, younger brother. We were telling my friend about it years ago, like before, just right before we started, obviously. 2016. About, and we're like, we want to make this comic with the finding artist. We don't really know what we're doing or where to find an artist. And she's like, you know, my brother's an incredibly talented artist, right? I was like, I completely forgot about that. And this is like exactly something he was interested in doing. So, you know, Dylan likes to talk sometimes about how like the first meeting with him, we were basically pitching the idea to him, and it was like, we hope he'll work with us. And he did. So we were really happy.
That's lucky, because sometimes, yeah, I've worked with writers too, and sometimes it's terrible.
Yeah.
And, if you find somebody that you can hang with, it's good. So
really lucky.
You were talking about your writing process and how you were talking about some of it's half prose and stuff like this. Have you ever looked at an Alan Moore script?
No, we've heard of it. Maybe I've seen like one screenshot of it, that kind of one that was like, you know, and here's the part that the artist paid attention to.
Well, it's not so much that they pay attention. I mean, there's all this other stuff that's there, and it's just like, okay, this is the stuff I'm going to show.
Right. Exactly.
All this other extra detail might be in the background.
Yeah.
You know, but you don't. It's not like the focal point. But all that stuff that's there that Alan puts in is important to what's on the page.
Right. Yeah.
And that, you know, that's what I was getting at, because I was just like, I know a lot. You know, I haven't worked with Alan, but I did an interview with him back in 2001, I think it was. And I don't know if you remember the series Top 10 from ABC. The artist on that, Gene Haas, is a friend of mine. So I interviewed Gene about it in the process and everything. And then Alan liked that interview so much, he actually contacted me and said, okay, let's talk. I was like,
right, approval. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I did something right. How'd that happen?
I'd be terrified to speak to Alan.
Yeah, I would be too. I'm kind of late to a lot of his work, and so like getting into it, I was like, oh, this is really awesome. And I just started doing more research on him, and I'm just like, I feel like I'd be afraid.
He's intimidating. I'm not going to say that he's not.
I always like listening to our writers. I don't even do scripts. I just go straight to like laying out. So I don't.
Yeah, I was curious about that because
Yeah.
you know I know a fair number. Well, I don't know, a small handful of people who write and do the art for their own thing.
Believe it or not, I write full script.
Yeah.
And then I draw off my own full script, and then I make adjustments with what this was a nice idea, but it's not going to work on And when I say I do a full script, I mean I describe the panel layouts, the size of the panels, how it lays out, everything.
Mm-hmm. So you visualizing it on the page and then scripting it and then putting it on the page?
I'm visualizing it in my head, and I'm writing out what I'm visualizing. So that when I go back to draw it, I know what I was visualizing later. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I can remember it, and okay. And sometimes it's like, well, that doesn't actually work when I'm physically drawing, so I have to make changes. But that's when I do my own stuff. Now, when I work with other people, a lot of others don't like that. So I kind of have to switch over to it's not Marvel method. It's like I won't describe the size of the panels and stuff like that, and how many panels per page and stuff. I'll say, well, this is what I would like to see on the page. Give me your ideas, and I'll give you my ideas of what's on the page, and we'll figure out something that we're both satisfied with. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, when you write full script for someone else, a lot of them feel like they're turned into a drawing robot, and they don't understand. Like, dude, if you can't draw that, or you think you have a better idea, tell me.
Yeah.
This is a collaboration.
Right.
You don't have to draw it exactly the way I want. There's nobody ever going to draw it the exact way I see it in my own head. I can't even draw it the exact way I see it.
Right.
So it's like go ahead and if you have something to adjust, make adjustments. But
I like that kind of a relationship.
Yeah.
Make improvements.
Jeremy, so you say you start with like the layout process, or do you ever feel like you're maybe 2/3 through like an issue, and then like you think you want to change something in the beginning, and then you just kind of like it offsets all like other
Everything
pages
else.
Like, does that no? Okay, that's my big problem.
The way I'll sit and think about it quite a while before I'll be driving, and I'll be at my day job, and instead of thinking about what I should be thinking about there, I usually
I'm sure we're all guilty. I'm sure we're all very guilty of that.
No, and if you the way I lay out too, it's very, very simple. I don't know if you know you're like Harvey Picar. Have you ever heard of Harvey Picar? He does
American Splendor.
He did American Splendor, and his layouts are like basically stick figures, talking. So like I block things out pretty simply, and the layouts are very, very small.
Gotcha.
So they're not precious.
Right.
So you work it out before you actually do it. I mean, like the second issue that I'm doing now, I laid it out, and the ending didn't work until about 2 days ago. But it was just a small thing. And it's usually a very, very simple thing you can do to fix something. But I usually, have it planned out in the layouts. And like I said, they're very small. It's not something precious. It's something that you can do very quickly. And just, and I don't have a writer to yell at me. No.
Yeah.
Something about, But
I was going to ask about that too. Yeah.
Writer Mark Andrew Smith says, I just shout at the artist with, I am the law. Just
the writers I've dealt with.
I do both styles depending on what I'm working on. It could get really loose with Armand, which is his collaborator on Gladstone's School for World Conquerors. Sometimes I just message him and say, well, this is what happens next.
Yeah, it depends on who you're working with, really.
Yeah, but now
if you're working with Jack Kirby, you don't need to write a script. If you're working with
Jack Kirby, it's like 4-word sentence here and go. Okay, here you go.
Yeah, scripts would hinder him. So.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it just depends on who you're working with.
But now working on something where it's really detailed. Yeah, it just depends on who your collaborator is and how good your rapport with one another is, I think.
Right.
But, I do find that funny about Mark saying I just yell at the artist. Because the thing is, I could actually see him doing that in a way. I mean, he's not a mean person or anything. It's just he teaches ESOL, and he worked in the military overseas in a way. And I could just see that type of drill instructor type mode. But it's funny. But
the writer on the Willie Nelson thing gave us all everything laid out with the lettering, kind of like how EC comics were. I've never done that. That was
he gave you actual pages of layout with the lettering already on it. You had to draw around the lettering.
Right.
Oh man, I want that gig. That's cool.
I strayed from it on one page, and he was like, "I like what you did, but don't do it again." I was like, "I'm sorry."
Oh my god!
But he wanted it. He had a good reason for it. Is he wanted it to be very, very simple so anyone could read it. And I didn't change anything. But it was very, very good anyway. And the way it was laid out, you know, he draws as well. You knew what he was going for. It's like, oh, there's the big moment. There's the you know. But I'd never worked that way before, and it was different. That's how they did it. That's how Tales from the Crypt was, and all those old EC books. And I've never done it that way. But
yeah,
he had it all ready to go.
I've heard of that, but I've never seen it done.
He had that, and he had all of any research. I had to do no research. He had hairstyles, clothing. Rooms, because it was the one that I did the part I did was in the 50s. I had to do no research. It was so easy to do that part of it. But he had everything ready to go. You just had to kind of go around and find a way. Because before, when I write stuff, I'll see it and then write. I'm laying it out, but I have these panels, and it's oh god. So it was a little different, but.
Did the bubbles even have tails so that you knew exactly where characters had to be?
I don't know. There were no balloons, so you had that freedom. But you could tell where people needed to be. Yeah. But it was still that was a bit of a challenge. But it was a lot of it was there'd be a panel, then on the top there'd be lettering, and then the balloons, kind of like how I don't know, Art Spiegelman or something would write. But that was difficult at times, but I liked it. It was, but yeah, I felt like
that's coming out in October as well.
September. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think you sent me the Diamond account for that one.
Oh, I don't know what the Diamond is. It's on Amazon. I know you can pre-order it there.
Okay.
It's NBM's putting it out, and TJ.
That's right, NBM. Okay.
Yeah, TJ Kirsch is the writer.
Okay.
And it was me and a bunch of other artists. I got a list. I always it's Adam Walmsley, Jason Pittman. I'm gonna butcher this one. It's Havard S. Johansson, JT Yost, who I've seen his stuff before. Koskin Kuzkin. I'm gonna butcher that. And there's one other. There's a lot of people. Each person did a chapter, but JT Kirsch is the guy that wrote it, and he did a book called Pride of the Decent Man. I think NBM put out too, which I'd heard of and stuff. And when he contacted me about the Willie Nelson thing, but that's one I've done with another writer. I've done a couple of books with another writer. Matt Smith is the other writer I work with. Guy named Matt Smith, not Doctor Who, but.
That is actually the link to the Kickstarter for STARSIDE, so that people can do that. And I'm going to also put that up and post it in the comment section on the YouTube channel.
Awesome. Thank you.
Looks good.
Thanks.
That's my working with a writer recently story. But that was different. But yeah, it's always good if you draw to work with work with a writer too.
Yeah,
Just do your own stuff.
Yeah. Do you find like when you work by yourself, like if you work with other writers, do you ever like adopt any sort of, you know, creative process from them, or do you like have like your own, this is the Jeremy way kind of thing, or do you not have a Jeremy way and it's just the, you know, your way? Or
I did a book with my friend, like Matt Smith is a friend. I've known him for years, and we did a book called Bee Sting, which was like a horror book that got turned into a low budget movie that I get killed in. If anyone's interested, but some teenagers.
How gory is the death?
Me. Say what?
How gory is the death?
I get bludgeoned. It's not bad, but
I want to see one. You got spilling everywhere.
I did that with him, and then we did a book called Amazing Age, and that started out script. He had a script, first 2 issues, and then by issue, like maybe we did 5 issues of it. I think by issue 4, it was just marble. Where I was just
Speaking of Amazing Age, you had copies of that with you.
Say what?
You said you had a copy of Amazing Age with you? There you go. Go ahead and show it. Is that the one that you guys published self, or is that the one through Alterna?
Alterna is who put that out. Yeah. We won't talk about how that turned out, but it's it's fine.
I mean, do you guys still own the rights to that?
Yes.
So you can go ahead and redo it elsewhere if you wanted. Okay.
I think it's on Comixology. It's on Comixology. You can still get copies from Matt or me. I've got some. But yeah, it was
no, not Dr. Matt Smith.
That would be dope though. I liked Matt Smith. He was a good doctor.
What is his full name? Matt Dow Smith?
It's Matthew D. Smith. David. There is a Matthew Dow Smith though that writes comics.
That's what I was like. I couldn't remember if it was that one or a different one.
Like Matt Smith, the doctor, Matthew Dow Smith, and Matthew D. Smith. I think that's David.
Yeah.
But he'll probably get mad. I don't know his middle name because we've got a bromance.
I thought you knew me. You don't know me at all.
No, man, he's seen me at my worst, I'm sure. But anyway, that book was fun to do. But yeah, that started off like script. And by the end of it, he just gave up on me, and it just kind of became like a Marvel where he told me the plot. So that was fun. So towards the end, though, it was more action anyway, and he can, sometimes when you're writing out like an action or a part that has a lot of action in it anyway, the staging will change, and you'll have an idea. The artist will. So
for Kurt Busiek describing everything and. Stuart Immonen's like, I'm 10 pages ahead of you, dude.
Yeah, right.
I've already drawn those.
These things happen.
Well, that was an actual comic strip that they did. Stuart drew himself, and Kurt's just standing around pointing in the air and describing all the action of the Shock Rockets comic. And he's sitting there at a drawing table drawing. He goes, "Yeah, I'm on page 10. You're talking about page 3, buddy."
Right.
I thought it was a cute little strip that, because words. There's a reason why they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, because in the way it is. Because when you're describing everything, it takes words, and then the visual design. Well, it's there. It's described for you, but. It's interesting though, because I mean, I've done different things for different people. I've ghostwritten for other people. It's just, it's funny when you do these things.
Now here's a question. I actually saw it on Reddit the other day or yesterday. That was interesting to me. It was, when you're reading comics, do you picture the action in your head like a movie, like a live action movie, or like an animated film, or do you fill in maybe gaps between panels with still images in comic form, or none of the above? There's a right answer. No, there's not.
Yeah.
I've never really thought about it. I mean, the most important part of the comic, though, is really that's where the reader participation comes in, is the gutters.
Yeah.
You know, you're connecting, panel 1 and 2. So I don't know. That's a good question, but that's the most important part, is those gutters.
I don't know.
That's where you come in.
It depends on who the artist is. Different artists are very cinematic in their presentation. So you might subconsciously be more cinematic in how you perceive it. Others are more cartoonish and more straightforward, I guess you could say, visually. So it's, you might not even think of stuff in between consciously or subconsciously. So it just depends on the artist, I think.
I think comics, for me anyway, they work a lot like how my memory works. If I remember something, I don't remember every second, every moment of everything. I just remember
snapshots.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I can remember, you're like 5 years old and you remember the comic, but you don't remember the whole comic. You remember this one page, or you remember. I can remember that when I started buying back issues from when I was a little kid, when I was in my teens and early 20s, it'd be like, yeah, I remember like the first page splash of the story, and I'm looking for that issue of Avengers. What's the one that has that cover or that splash?
Yeah,
and
that's why you can remember those, though. I think that's why I can remember comics well, is because they work exactly like my memory.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, it was always Burner Perez.
Right. Burn, for me, that's the first comic I read was an X-Men issue with John Byrne. It was the one where they come back from the X-Men, come back from space or something. They're just hanging out, and Wolverine's hunting, and some dude from Alpha Flight shows up and whoops his ass.
Vindicator.
What is it? Vindicator, yeah.
Vindicator / Guardian.
Right. I remember that. That's the first comic I ever read.
Wow.
I remember the part where Vindicator comes up.
You must have been reading a classic X-Men then.
I was reading classic. That's what I read. It was classic X-Men.
Okay.
It wasn't the regular
Wait a
run.
minute. You couldn't have been reading a 108 or 109.
No, it was classic.
Not at the cost of those books.
No, not back then. But that's the first comic I ever read. It was classic X-Men. It was that issue. It had I can't remember who did the cover, but
probably Arthur Adams.
Yeah, it was either him or that Lytle guy. Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, that's the first comic I read. But I remember every damn big moment of that book. I remember Storm, Storm back then was a nudist. So she was I remember that. She came back from space and she was like, "Oh, my plants are dying," and she
Yeah, I remember. I remember.
Storm's awesome.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen anything like that. Growing up, X-Men was
it actually stood out as unique back then.
Say what?
It actually stood out as unique back then.
It still is very good stuff. He was Chris Claremont was a lucky fella. Speaking of writers, he was a lucky fella. Every X-Men artist was different, but they were good.
He'll tell you himself he was blessed with talent.
Undoubtedly, yeah. I mean, Jesus, what you had? Byrne, and then we had
Cockrum, Byrne, Cockrum again, Paul Smith, John
Romita Jr. Yeah.
Barry Windsor Smith was in there as a guest artist down again. June Brigman was in there for a guest spot. Butch Geis,
Silvestri, Jim Lee.
Silvestri, right.
Yeah. And then his New Mutant stuff, man, he had Sienkiewicz, and it was good stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's why I think I'm drawn to comics more than anything, though, is it works like your memory. So that's good for me too, because I do stuff where I'm drawn from that. So
yeah,
that's true. Cool.
Yeah.
This is getting deep, man. Let me get another drink.
It's psychology.
Yeah. Well, I was a huge X-Men fan. I started collecting in '85 because this kid on the school bus started play acting out and describing the action in the comic. And I had stopped reading comics at 13. I figured I outgrew them. But this kid was just so into it. You know, I mean, he was literally just hopping up and from seat to seat. I'm like, I got to see what this comic is. Because I remember X-Men from Spider-Man's Amazing Friends cartoons, but
Wolverine was Australian.
So I was like, okay. So I got off the bus at his bus stop, went to the house, and just by fate, he had a subscription. He had just started, and the first issue of his subscription came in. It was X-Men 196. And in that particular story, none of the X-Men are in costume. They're in street clothes because they're trying to investigate who tried to kill Xavier by mugging him. And I was just like, wow, who are all these weird people? They're in funky hairstyles and they're not in costumes. They're just normal people, but they're trying to solve a possible potential murderer here. This is different. Okay.
That was my first X-Men too, is they were just doing normal stuff. And those are the comics that I'm drawn to now, is like,
Yeah. But here's the thing. That was in September of 85. For Christmas, my parents got me God Loves Man Kills.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
And the Dark Phoenix Saga in trade. So I was like, okay, and it's like by March, my next birthday, I had the Days of Future Past. So I basically got the trifecta within 6 months of.
Talking about decompression and compression, Days of Future Past is 2 issues. Like I reread it like a year ago, and I thought it was like 5 issues, like in my memory, and it's 2 damn issues.
Wow.
You guys, you said that you kind of are new to comics. I mean, what kind of got you into them? What did you? Because it sounds like me and him, me are old farts. We're talking about like.
Well, I am. I'm 48.
You got 8 years on me. But yeah, what did you guys? I'm leading the interview. Sorry.
No.
Yeah. So actually, it's funny. When I was a kid, my pediatric dentist had you go for your cleaning, your checkup, and you were able to pick there was like a number of boxes. You can take one thing. You can up to 3 items, one thing from each box. So one was just a box of comics, and I was young and like I had was always interested, but I never, bought one. My parents never took me to a comic book store. And so I took a comic, and actually I was, while you guys were talking, I was thinking like, what was the first comic that I remember ever getting? And I want to say it was the death of Superman, like Doomsday.
Right.
And that's one I can remember panel for panel. I reread it a million times. And what I thought was interesting was like, I knew Superman from cartoons and action figures, but like, I didn't really need to know anything leading up to this issue. I just sort of was able to read it over and over again and still feel like I understood the gravity of everything. And then I got a little older, and then I actually was able to go to this comic store like 5 minutes from my house, which unfortunately closed down many, many years ago. And so I would always just kind of go and pick up what looked cool. But I was never like I would buy superhero comics, but I was never the biggest superhero fan. I kind of just like picked the coolest covers. I remember one I don't remember if it was like a trade, and maybe you guys can tell me exactly. It was like, I don't know if it was a trade or if it was just a really oversized issue, but it was like an X-Men comic, and the front was like gold. Do you know like what, like there was like, it was just like, it was, I think it might've been like some apocalypse story, but it was like all gold. We looked it up like a couple of months ago.
Was it?
I can tell you because you're talking about like the mid 90s, probably.
Maybe. Oh yeah.
And I stopped reading around when Claremont got fired the first time. To be honest, yeah. I mean,
Age of Apocalypse.
Yeah, that sounds probably right.
It was a trade paperback. Yeah.
Okay, but it must have been like some. Gimmick cover, variant cover.
Ultimate edition.
It was all gold, and you can barely even see. Like depending on the angle the light was hitting it, you can barely even see what the cover was. But of course, as a 7-year-old kid, like that caught my eye. I was like, "Oh, this cover's gold. It's got to be the coolest thing ever." But and then when that comic book store closed down, I sort of just stopped, and then I think my return to comics was it's probably not cool to say anymore, but like was The Walking Dead. That was like I don't know. I just feel like Walking Dead is mainstream now, and like some people might be like, oh, whatever. But
well, the thing about The Walking Dead, and most people don't know, if you don't, not of my era, is that it's kind of swiped from Dead World. And that came out in the 80s. And Image actually had a deal with the original creators and the guy who owned the rights to Dead World, the late Gary Reed, because Gary was Todd McFarlane's toy manager for Todd Toys.
I didn't know that.
And when Kirkman pitched it, it wasn't supposed to be a zombie comic. It was supposed to be an alien invasion story. That's what he pitched. And then when they approved it, he goes, well, by the way, it's actually a zombie story. And they had to actually ask Gary for permission to do it because they don't have to deal with Gary. And Gary, Deadpool had been around since like 86, but it was more like a cult thing. It didn't have a whole major following.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, yeah, okay, go ahead. Nobody knew that because of 28 Days Later, the movie and everything. It was just the zeitgeist moment of just everything, happening to hit that moment that he had that success with that book. And I was like, if I had been Gary, I would never let Kirkman do it, but that was me. I mean, when you have 10 years in on it, at least, why would you let someone else do what you already know when you have a contract with them? But I know why Gary did it, because he was so busy with the toys, he didn't have time to do what he was supposed to be doing with the comic. So, what can you? It is what it is. But I just love people. I go to conventions. So, you're Walking Dead's the greatest thing ever. I'm like, yeah, here, read the original. Find out what the real talent is, because Robert, as popular as he is, he doesn't do anything original. Everything he does is him recycling somebody else's ideas. He does a good job of it. It's his own thing, but I'm waiting to see something that's actually his own idea. But
so we now read Oblivion Song. So is there a
I haven't looked at Oblivion Song. So
that's good.
I like it. Fair amount. Yeah.
I'll probably pick it up at a library sometime. I just gotta find it first,
Yeah.
It's definitely not like my favorite of what we're reading, but I like it. It's like, it's a good, it's a kind of good, like just sci-fi romp, pretty much. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of melodrama, but that's pretty solid.
We're very picky sometimes, especially when it comes to dialogue. So they're all, even in big comics that we love, we'll be like, oh, why did they choose that line there? Things like that. But,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, but I mean, see, I got spoiled. I started out, I'm a lot older. I'm 48. When I was 5, my mother was the buyer representative for an entire chain of toy stores.
Oh, wow.
So she ordered all the comics. And so in 77, when Star Wars came out, I got all the Star Wars comics from Marvel.
Nice.
I got, different titles, but my mother was very smart about that compressed where all the story was there in one issue. She wouldn't let you have an issue if it wasn't all there. Because there was never any guarantees with the newsstands or if you were in orders. So she's like, you can't have that issue because that's not a complete story type thing. Put that back type thing. I'm like, okay.
They're trying to rob you.
Yeah.
or if she thought the story wasn't appropriate for my age, or whatever, she would say, nope, that one's for older kids. Could put that one back type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But so I was reading the comics from a very young age at that point. But like I said, by the time I was like 10 or 11, I felt like I outgrew them because I read them from like time I was 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah.
And it's like, a lot of stuff is kid stuff. So I'm like, no, I'm done. And then, like I said, I got reintroduced at 13 to X-Men. And I was like, okay.
That was what got you back in, was X-Men?
Yeah. Well, what happened, like I was telling them a little bit earlier, a kid who was a friend of mine, who became a friend of mine, was play acting out scenes from the comic on the bus. And it was just so engaging that I had to see this comic. So I got off the bus with him and went to his house, and his first issue was 196.
Okay.
Of his mail order subscription. That's what I got to see first. My actual first issue that I owned was 199. But
okay. Ooh, what was 200 the Trial of Magneto?
Yes.
Oh God, that's a good freaking issue. No, but me.
Here's the funny part. As I look back on X-Men's history, people always say, what would you do if you ran Marvel? I would go to X-Men 200 and reboot right there. And
they kind of did that a little bit. That's
not really. That's when they splintered off and did X Factor.
Right.
Cyclops left in 201. I would not have done X Factor.
Yeah.
I never liked that series. I never liked the idea of bringing Jean Grey back from the dead.
Yeah. I don't think Chris Claremont did either.
Oh no, he doesn't.
He's pissed. But X-Men for me, like that's when he left. When Claremont left, that's when I quit reading X-Men.
That's when I quit too.
That's when I quit reading comics, kind of.
Oh wow, he left it Uncanny 279, and I was like
1, 2, and 3 of the other one. Yeah. Right.
The first issues of the new X-Men, but Uncanny 279. And I was like, well, I wish he'd quit at 275. Now I got to go to 300 just to have the round. So I did stay up through 300, and the day that came in the stores, I don't know if you're familiar with the wrestler Daniel Bryan.
I'm not, but
well, he does this thing called a yes chant where he's going yes, yes, yes. That's what I was like in the comic shop. I'm like, yes, finally here. I can stop crying. I was like, yeah. People are like, what's wrong with you? You don't understand. I'm done. I'm done with collecting this. I've got it. And they just didn't get it. They didn't understand how alienated Marvel had made me after they fired Claremont. I mean, it's not that the writers on the books were bad writers. They're just when you're used to a certain voice of the characters, anybody else is going to fall flat probably.
Yeah, I almost quit reading comics after because that's all. But then you got me back into it was the Love and Rocket stuff. Mike Allred's Madman and Hate. So that's what got me back into comics.
Hi, John.
I gotta get to bed too eventually.
Yeah.
Not really.
Not really. Well, you do have a day job, don't you?
Yeah, but whatever.
Weekend coming up anyway.
They're like, why are you in such a bad mood today? It's because I stayed up late. Leave me alone. It's not even that late. That's how old I am. Ever since I had kids, 10 o'clock, that's late. If somebody called me right now on the telephone, I would cuss them out.
Yeah, I understand. I have a bedtime alarm set for an hour ago.
Oh, wow.
We're early risers over here.
Yeah.
It happens.
Well, see, I don't go to bed for another 6 to 10 hours. I usually go to bed when the sun comes up and then get up at like noon.
Bela Lugosi.
Well, no, my father worked night shift as a security guard in a casino back in Nevada, and so he would sleep during the day. So it'd be polite just to not be too noisy during the day. So I kind of got in the same schedule.
Gotcha, yeah.
And I just never been able to get off that same sleep cycle. Basically, and it's like I'll either do that or I'll eat dinner and just go completely out. Now wake up 3 hours later, it'll be like crap. I wouldn't do that today because I was like, I don't need to do that on a Thursday. But it's
we need to review. Let's review what all have we talked about tonight. Let's if you're writing a term paper or
report
something, you talk and then blah 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 blah, and then at the end you bring it back around, or if you're playing jazz or even country music, or gospel, let's say, you bring it home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not even supposed to bring it home, guys, because I got 2 segments I got to do on my own after you guys leave.
Well, we gonna bring it home for us, and then we'll keep watching you.
Yes.
Okay. That'll work.
I don't know
unless you guys want to answer questions.
How long do you usually go?
I can go as long as 3 hours.
Holy crap!
Usually
I would run out of things to say.
When you got 13 reviews a show on average,
yeah,
that's
true. You're like, I read 17 books yesterday. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, lots.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We can go quickly through my questions if
Do that.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about
Simulator.
STARSIDE.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh my God, is it just us?
I know we're taking over the show.
All right. Well, he did mention that there were, although I thought maybe we would lose connection too, but maybe not.
I'm back. Sorry.
Oh, good. Okay. I
That
thought
was
maybe
really scary.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not prepared to host the show.
I know.
That was really scary.
Actually, I warned you that might happen.
We
Yeah.
just telling Jeremy.
Is the storm hitting bad now?
No. It was something else. Thank goodness. But
The cat. We know the cat was on the router.
no. I just hit the wrong button. That's all. Yeah. It didn't want it. Instead of hitting share screen, I hit leave studio.
They are inconveniently next to
Right
each
next
other.
to each other,
That's- I can see how that's a problem.
Oh God.
Yeah, let's see what we got with Q&A this week. Our first question is from various parties. Did you read about the Tom King versus Jay Lee situation where King tried to cancel Culture Lee by associating him with Comicsgate? What are your thoughts on this whole practice? Well,
You guys go first.
yeah.
Wait, who's being asked? All of us?
Well, if you guys want to answer, you can, but it's generally to me. But usually, I've had other people that are like, I don't want to answer that. So, but my feeling is the whole cancel culture is nonsense. If you want to criticize someone for their work, go ahead and criticize them for their work. This nonsense or if they do something that's like criminal. Yeah, I mean, there are people who have been sexually assaulting other creators and other people and stuff. Okay, fine, get rid of them. Sexual harassers, get rid of them. But so the guy did a cover for someone else's book that you don't like. Get over it. Yeah. Or if you got an issue, bring it up with your publisher. Don't make it a public scene. As far as that goes. I mean, I don't like Ethan Van Sciver either, but it's very simple. I just don't buy his product. I don't watch his podcast.
Wait, what is this? I'm just kidding. I think that he personally, if I was, I think I met Tom King once. I think he wrote a novel originally. Is that how he got started? I think he was at.
He was Chris Claremont's gopher for a while before he went into the CIA.
I think I met him. It wasn't Heroes Con, but something that they do another convention there. I think, and it was a very nice fella to me. I think maybe if I was in that same situation and I had a problem with an artist, I probably would have spoken to them first,
right?
Instead of, but
well, like I said, the thing was the editor hired him to do a variant cover for Rorschach or whatever that Tom was writing.
See, that's what we need to talk about. Freaking Rorschach doesn't need to exist. There doesn't need to be any more Watchmen comics. I talked smack about that TV show, but then I ended up liking it, so I don't know how I feel.
It was good.
It was really good.
Good damn show. Damn it. I was very mad about it. I'm like, oh, those bastards. And then I watched it. I'm like, oh, man, that's so good.
See, I'm lucky. I don't have any of those channels, so I don't get to see any of that stuff.
I was so against the idea of that. And then when I first watched it, I'm like, oh, yeah, they're going to screw this up. I have a bone to, like Damon Lindelof, too. I'm still pissed about Lost. But, no, I watched the Watchmen show, and it was great. Which I didn't think it was going to be. But the comics that they've kind of continued with the Watchmen stuff, even the one like Darwin Cook did, like I love Darwin Cook, but I'm just like, it doesn't need to exist. So maybe that's what they should talk about more so than, but that's a thing that the whole.
Again, like you say, it's something that should be done behind the scenes, not made a public.
Right.
Technical. Yeah.
I think a lot of the Twitter stuff, I don't. I've had to deal with that before. with Amazing Age, and I stay out of it because I just don't care. Anything I've got to say politically, whatever, I'm not going to use a tweet to do it. The comics or what. I'm not a very eloquent person. And there's a reason that I make comics. It's because if I have anything to say, I'm probably going to say it with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I do. I don't really use Twitter for telling people how I feel about stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's just not how I am.
Well, yeah, but that's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I mean, I don't know enough about this specific situation to speak specifically on that, but just, what comes to mind talking about, how you would respond publicly or privately, but it feels very much like in a lot of situations, nothing would happen unless it's public. So it's kind of developed into this world where people think everything needs to be public or else nothing is going to happen. I think it should. So
there is no concept of a private life anymore.
Exactly.
I think that's something that I grew up, I didn't have access to, like, if I read, like, what was I reading back in the day? Like The Invisibles or something. I didn't have access to, like, Grant Morrison where I could go and be like, hey, you suck or something if I had a problem. And nowadays you have access to everyone. Just and it's just I don't think I don't know.
In a lot of ways, people just live online. I mean,
I don't. I enjoy going outside. I like hanging out with my kids. I like drawing comics.
Yeah.
And I like the sunshine. And
well, you can go out in the sun and still be online. I mean, but still, yeah.
I've taken to leaving my phone places when I go somewhere, so I can look up and I the whole thing with Twitter, like I said, when I did Amazing Age,
I don't have a Twitter account.
Yeah, we were with a publisher that we had disagreements with, and I tried to be respectful of that that person and everything, and just leave and leave it at that. And when I did that on Twitter, I got bombarded with a lot of people that were angry, and even I had people direct messaging me, threatening me and stuff, and I'm just like, you guys, and that didn't scare me. I'm not. I wasn't scared about any of that. I just thought it was like ridiculous that people were getting mad about someone leaving a like small comic book company. Like, Jesus Christ. And it didn't bother me, and it went away eventually, and I just ignored it. But since then, if I'm on Twitter or Facebook or anything, I'm literally just trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
And that's all. I don't give a damn about anything else really other than doing that. That's all that it's for.
Okay, our next question is, did you hear about DC and Scott Snyder planning to relaunch their scouting and training program to bring in new writers and artists? Would that be something that you would be interested in doing? Why or why not? Again, various parties asked me this question. And for me, no. I have no interest in dealing with Snyder. I don't have any interest in dealing with DC because a certain editor there and I don't get along. He was a former Marvel head honcho, and he kind of screwed me at Marvel, and I don't trust him. So as simple as that. But as far as the other thing I would say about it is there's a lot of writers that have already gone through that program from years ago who have not had their turn. You get 1 8-page backup in an anthology that's not having a turn. If they went through the program and the writer is good, and I know this particular writer I'm thinking about, Al Goingback, is good because, he's only published as a prose author in 13 different countries. I think he could probably handle writing for DC as a regular writer. So I'm a little bit like, okay, whatever. But they're going to do what they want, and I've always looked at that program as more of a, I don't want to call it grooming because that's the wrong word right now because of the way things have been done with Warren Ellis and other people lately. But it's just more like you go through their program and you become a yes person. And if you're good enough, but yes, you get work. That's the way I look at that program. That's just my take. But so for me, it's not. But for other people, get ahead and take a shot. The worst that can happen is they tell you no.
I sell out in a heartbeat. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, people are like, well, don't you want to write Batman? I'm like, yeah, I'd actually rather edit the book and hire the writers I want to write it and put them with the artists I want to draw it. That's how I tend to do things. I'm like, I don't want to write these characters. Let someone else do it that wants to.
I would do Superman, but that's it.
Yeah.
I love Superman.
Yeah.
Since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Would you two be interested in that program?
I don't think so. I don't like the idea of like writing something that's already established. Like I like thinking about how they made these Star Wars sequel movies. It's like I couldn't even imagine continuing something that I felt like ended. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I couldn't even begin to try to pull something out of it and make it feel genuine and like make it feel like it works. I think that's one of the things that I kind of like have a disconnect with superhero stories is like how things always get rebooted. It's a little weird to me, like especially if like there was a really good definitive end and then it comes back again and it's just
my feeling on reboots is you should finish and bring the story of a hero's journey to its closure. Maybe they retire and become mentors to the next generation of heroes. Maybe they die off or whatever, but they're no longer active around.
Right.
And if you're going to reboot, now it's the next generation of heroes.
Yeah.
And I'm down with that. But every time we try to do it, everybody in fandom has a hissy fit. I want my other character I grew up with back. It's just like, well, don't you don't like the X-Men now? I'm like, yeah, I don't like the X-Men now, but that's because the writers are not anybody I like. Give me a writer I want writing them. Maybe I'd like them. I don't know.
I did like that concept though of like superheroes passing the mantle down. Like to me, like that's more interesting, right? Because it's like you're still kind of keeping the story going.
Well, like they get mad about Peter Parker, and the new the black one,
Miles Morales.
Yeah, Miles Morales. My attitude is, you know what? Aunt May died. Peter and MJ did not get a divorce or did not get separated by Mephisto. MJ got pregnant and has had a kid, and they named the kid May in memory of Aunt May. And Peter is now retired from active duty, and Miles is Spider-Man, and that's the end of it. And for like the next 13 years, and then when May is a teenager, her spider powers kick in. She's Spider-Girl, and Miles is an adult, and it's time for him to have a family, and he can retire. That's the way I would do it. And you wouldn't have 50 million versions of the same thing going on. But
I think a lot of the problem is those characters aren't characters; they're properties now.
Yeah.
That's all that they are. No matter what you or anybody else
that's true
do to them, like wherever you would take them with a story, they're always going to come back to this, like whatever that status quo is for that character. So no matter what you do with Spider-Man, Batman, blah, 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 you can make all the changes in the world you want to them. They're properties. At the end of the day, it's more important to AT&T and Walt Disney to have something they can put on a pair of underwear than it is to tell a good story.
Yeah.
True.
That's fair enough.
I'm done.
And on that note, the Starside underwear comes out next month. Deal with me undies.
So the star side. Okay, so those are black underwear with like glow in the dark with stars, right?
Pretty dope.
And the stars look like the ones that you like put on your wall and your ceiling back in like the
early 2000s. Yeah. Weird thing.
Okay. This is a question just directly from me. He asked Miguel Asar, one of our regular viewers, asked me if I recently posted a link on live draw session with artist Aaron Lepresti on my Facebook page because he did a sketch of one of my characters, which we mentioned earlier. Am I going to have Aaron as a guest? I'd like to, but I don't know. There's a lot of people I'd like to have on the show. It's just finding time to get people coordinated and do, because we're not all on East Coast time. Where some of us are on the West Coast. Aaron's out in Oregon or Washington, I believe. So he's got 3 hours difference. So it just depends. We'll see what we can do down the road. Next question. This is funny. Tammy Porche asks, "How come you never have any women creators on the show?"
Am I the first?
Congratulations, Lane. You are the first.
All right.
And that's not because I didn't try to get someone sooner. I tried to get Ann Nocenti. I tried to get Christine Brunson, who colored Amazing Age.
Who? I love her.
Yeah, I tried to get. I can't think of her name right now, but she's the president of the Science Fiction Writers of America. I wanted to get her on the show because they made new rules that comic writers can become members of the Science Fiction Writers of America, and they're in the process of rewriting the bylaws to determine the qualifications. So, but unfortunately, it's just people don't always have time, like I say, to get in, and so fortunately, we finally got one.
Hopefully, many more in the future.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get Louise Simonson and Jan Dursema to come on for their Webtoons comic.
What are they doing for Webtoons?
Oh, geez.
I gotta look that up. I'll go look it up. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And of course, Louise just got elected into the Eisner Hall of Fame.
Good.
About time.
Superman. She was involved with Death of Superman and New Mutants and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's see what else we got. Dan Stewart asks, I know you've promoted a number of Kickstarters and Indiegogos, but how many have you personally backed?
Ooh. He's calling you out.
17.
So you got a number too. 17.
That's on Kickstarter, or is that both?
It's 15 on Kickstarter and 2 on Indiegogo currently. How about you guys? I know you
currently or overall forever?
Pardon me?
You're currently backing that many, or that's how many you've ever backed, or both?
Currently I got like 8 or 9 that haven't been fulfilled yet.
Gotcha. Okay.
But one of the big problems with the backing is, again, the credit card situation. And I was finally recently able to get my credit card from my business, so I can do it on my business and write it off as a business expense anyway. But it's more of a knowing the people and believing in the concept and stuff. And a lot of people these days, I see these people that are ex-Marvel DC guys who are like, yeah, I was the greatest when I was there, and I'm the greatest now. Buy my book. And I'm like, no. I didn't like you when you were over there. Why would I care about you now? I don't want to name names. But
why not?
Just a nice.
Getting late. Let's open
after hours. Come on.
Yeah. Well, people. The thing is, these are always on history. They can always go back and watch them, so they can always. But no, I mean, people know I don't like EVS that much. I'm not. Most of the, I guess you could say the comic skate elite don't impress me much. But that doesn't mean all the comic skaters. It just means that little clique group of people that just like, I don't know what their problem is. It's just, hey, there's this black woman writing Green Lantern. So, well, when I wrote Green Lantern, it was good. No, it was Hal Jordan and the Mood Ring Brigades. It was Gollum. I mean, you are pleased. It was, what was the Red Lantern's name? The first one, the big guy.
I think his name was Todd.
No, not Todd.
Oh, what? Sorry.
Atrociousness?
Yeah, something like that. I forget.
Something
I didn't
like
read
that.
all that back then.
Yeah, but all I know is Red Lanterns, they puke out their internal blood supply, and I'm like, that's really a threat? I got so angry, I puked out my internal organs. Yeah, let's let me stand back here. I just not a, they tell me this is the greatest stuff ever. I'm like, really?
Joe Staten did the best Green Lantern.
Yeah.
I don't know about best. I just like that guy.
No, Joe's good. I mean,
Yeah.
he did the Gnort comics.
Say what?
He did the Gnort issues, I think, when Guy Gardner was the Green Lantern.
He's good. He's underrated. He's an underrated artist, I think.
Well, I don't think forgotten because of his era, I think, is more than underrated.
Right.
I mean, there's so many guys that were popular in the 70s and early 80s that they're like, today, who? And It's like, why are you that way? Because, well, I know why, because throughout the 90s to the present, it's like everybody draws image style. So, oh well. But let's see if there's any more questions. Oh, geez. You mentioned you were going to make products for sale related to the podcast. When are those coming out? From I Want a T-shirt. I don't know yet. I do need to make those products, though. Get them on a channel somewhere where people can buy them. But, I mean, in the meantime, you can go to STARSIDE and get a pin and get books and, I don't know, maybe some underwear with some stars going. And I guess with Holler, I guess you'd have to like sell some like flannel shirts or something.
I was thinking rolling papers. You can get rolling papers with like a logo, a band logo. I was thinking maybe that's my crowd. Maybe
I was going to say guitar picks, but sure.
Guitar picks would be even. You guys are smarter than me. Guitar picks would be way smarter than. My mom would be so mad. I'm like, yeah, Mom, here's some rolling papers. That's the way, like that's God love my parents. They're the best people in the world. I feel like, everything like I say, they're just like that, looking at me like, and I deservedly so. But.
And that is our last question for the evening. So if you have questions for the show, email them to quotheravenlbr72@gmail.com. Subject QTR questions. Please indicate whether or not you want your name and locale read on air. I want to thank our guest for this evening, Jeremy Massie, creator of HOLLER, Amazing Age, and artist on the Willie Nelson story, or whatever it's called, Willie Nelson comic.
Hold on. Let's get that. Willie Nelson, a graphic history from MBM, written by T.J. Kirsch, now available for pre-order on Amazon. Please go do that. And also, HOLLER is in previews. HOLLER issue 2. Read that.
Yep. And again, that's in this brand new previews this week. And let's see. I'll go ahead and see if I can find that again real quick here. Those are the diamond order codes for number 1. For number 2, issue cover A and cover B.
I did those 2 covers, and then I did the back cover. I'm like,
you wish you'd left the back cover on the front?
I love the back cover. It's my favorite. I was like, damn.
Make a poster.
Like, son of a. Anyway.
Yeah.
And this is the Kickstarter for STARSIDE comic for STARSIDE number 3. And you can also order 1 and 2 through that same Kickstarter. And again, this address for the Kickstarter is posted on the YouTube channel below the screen as well. So you don't have to just try and read it and type it out. You can cut and paste. So or you can just go to Kickstarter and type in STARSIDE.
Yeah, and if you follow us on social media or find us there at STARSIDE Comic, well, there are links everywhere for the Kickstarter. So.
Okay. Alrighty. So, is there anything else you guys want to say before you head out?
Just thank you so much for having us on. It's great to hang out with you guys. Yeah. And yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to definitely come back for a drink and draw, aren't you?
What was the first half of your sentence?
Jeremy's going to have to come back for a drink and draw.
I'm drinking right now.
Yeah, but you're not drawing. Or are you?
I've got paper down here. No, I'm not drawing, but no, I'm not. I may be
Yeah,
drinking
nothing
a
wrong with
little.
drawing.
It's just
Nothing wrong with
water.
Yeah.
No, thank you for having me. And like Holler, like I said, issue 2, you're talking. You can read kind of a preview at MassieMakesComics.com.
Right. Let me see if I can find that again. Oh, I didn't put it in there. I put it at the other place. Okay.
Every once in a while, I'm on there like talking.
Well, I hate when it does that.
The diamond stuff's fine. Just go read it. It's a good book. It's funny. You have some laughs. You know, there's some kids playing.
There you go. There's the MassieMakesComics.com.
Very nice.
Thank you. And it was nice meeting you guys.
We're like Brady right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's great to meet you too.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
there you go. Do it that way too.
There we go. Yeah.
But hold on. Gotta do this silly thing again here. It's being fussy. All right, stop that. Silly machine.
We're the masters of the robots still.
Right.
There's just too many computer buttons to push. At least I don't have the sound effects that some of the other people have. Oh, geez.
Do you guys are you gonna do more on the show? Right.
Yes, I'm gonna. I still got the reviews for the week.
For us to go out, maybe we should sing something. What do you think we should sing?
Oh no.
How about let's keep it simple.
Okay.
It is my dad's birthday a couple of days ago. Let's sing happy birthday to Robert Massie. We'll just say
Can we
Robert.
get in trouble for that? Do we have to sing for He's a Jolly Good Fellow?
That's true. Copyright. Is that a copyrighted song?
I don't know.
That's why you can't hear it in TV shows.
Wait, is that true?
That is true. The happy birthday. That's why it's not in TV shows. Because it's like you have to license it or whatever.
Yeah, they might have issues with that, unfortunately. Yeah.
Let's
That's the
make
most
up a song right
absurd
now.
Maybe we could do the one that's happy birthday. If you guys know that one, I don't
I've
know.
never worked on Fridays. I don't know.
Let's do that.
You know it.
You start it, and I'll come in.
I don't. For the record, I don't know this, so I'm just gonna
I
watch.
don't either.
Let's just wing it. Okay, so let's count off. 1, 2, 3, 4, go.
Happy birthday. May all your dreams come true. Happy birthday from all of us to you. Other verses to the song, but I do not know them. What's your father's name?
Robert.
Robert. Happy birthday to him.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Sorry you could.
Now your dad has. You can show that to your dad and say, "You have to wait until 2 hours in, Dad."
Oh, he'll skip. He would probably be like, "I'm skipping through the." He would listen. He likes it.
That app Cameo, right?
Yeah,
like
that's right.
she just did a
Cameo.
personal birthday.
That's right. That'll be $50, please.
PayPal. I'll go back your book. How about that?
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank
No problem.
you.
Yeah, it was Jeremy. It's awesome meeting you.
Yes.
Lewis, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
inviting us to this. It was a lot of fun. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to convince your artist to visit. Yeah.
Get him on the drink.
I'm trying to think of like what would be easier to do than get him on the. It'd be easier to have the 2020 Olympics happen.
He doesn't have to appear on camera. He can like just have the camera on the artwork.
It's funny you say that. I don't think they'll mind us saying that, but for like the first million video chats we would have. We meet every Thursday on Google Hangouts. It would just, we'd see him in person, and we would, he would cut back to a screen if he needed to show us something, and then whatever. But like the last maybe like 15 meetings, it's just been his screen.
Yeah.
So we haven't actually seen him.
We haven't seen
so
him.
I don't know. Maybe he's hiding something.
He's
Maybe
just an AI now.
Yeah, he's uploaded his intelligence into. Yeah. Oh, is that Starscape?
Yeah, he's flying Starscape.
All right. Enjoy the reviews.
Yeah.
And thanks again.
Oh, yep. Thank you for having spend the time with us this evening, and definitely have you guys back on.
Yeah, too.
Time of my life.
It could be like a Green Day time of your life, slow montage.
Generational gap. I was doing like
no, I know exactly what
dirty
you're talking
things.
about.
I know.
I know. The Green Day song is better than that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Have a good day. Have a good night. I'll still listen to the show. Where's my button? Leave. There's a big leave right over here. A leave button. Okay. On the count of 3, I'm going to leave. I'm going to disappear. Ready?
3, 2, 1.
I love you.
Whoop. Oops, they got cut out real quick. Hold on a second. Yep. Yeah, unfortunately, Button cut them both out when Jeremy left. Hopefully, Dylan and Lane will be back shortly. In the meantime, let me go ahead and get the reviews ready. Okay. Let's see what happened. There you are.
We thought we were all saying bye, so we were just going to let you do your reviews. But then we went on to watch and.
Oh no, that's fine. No, what happened was
we thought we were all saying bye.
Just in case he said he was saying 3, 2, 1 bye, I hit remove and it removed both of you at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So and in case you guys didn't get to say, so you just didn't really get to say goodbye. You just disappeared.
We did our goodbye.
I just wanted to make sure you guys got to say goodbye.
I appreciate that very much.
So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but so you're staying on to watch the reviews, correct? Not on stream, but
right.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna.
All right then.
Went into that.
Okay, then I'll get into the reviews. Then thanks for having.
Sounds good.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
You too.
Take care, Lewis.
Bye. All right, let's get into our let's see here. Something's not working. No. All right. There we go. Marshall Bass Reeves, number 2, 498, season 1, episode 2. Publisher is Allegiance Comics. That is the comic book company that sells their books at Walmart. The writer is Kevin Graveau. The artist is David Brohawk Williams. The colorist is Gabriel L. Tiap. And the genre is Western historical fiction. Comes out bi-monthly. I have talked about Allegiance Comics and some of the issues that they've had in the past. I have had real problems trying to get the Allegiance Comics. A friend of mine happened to get this to me, so hopefully it'll improve in terms of availability. But anyway, what it's about. Bass Reeves is fast becoming one of the most successful law agents in the country. And it comes at a price. He cannot be out hunting down fugitives in the Western Ranges and be home to be a father to his children, especially his son Benjamin, who is starting to show signs of heading down a dark path. Meanwhile, the criminal medicine chief, Yaki, has been evading Bass and causing major problems in the region, including selling illegal whiskey and robbing stagecoaches, and there is no doubt that there will be a confrontation. Recommended for ages 13 up, and I gave it a 4-star rating. And let's take a quick look at the artwork. This is Bass painted up like an Indian. He was in a situation where he was hiding from some people that were harassing a Native American tribe, and he pretends to be the chief. And they have guns, and he whips out axes at them and disarms them with the axes, and then pulls out his guns and says, "Okay, you're going to do what I tell you to, or I'm going to take you in, or not. And if I do take you back, it won't be in one piece." So they tell him that Yaki is their boss. And then this is another scene from the issue. Benjamin has been caught shoplifting from those farmers market, and the local sheriff brings him home to his parents, or to his mother, because Bass is out being a lawn man, and she explains what the situation is and everything. And they have a little bit of a confrontation about it between him and his mom, because Bass is never there. He's like, I don't even have a father type, typical rebellion child. For those of you who don't know the history of Bass Reeves is a real lawman that actually existed and was the basis for the Lone Ranger. And in real life, his son becomes a criminal, and he actually has to bring his son to justice in real life. That was the history. So what Graveau is writing is kind of like the setup for all of that. It's very, very interesting that they do that. So our next book is Canto, Volume 1, trade paperback, If I Only Had a Heart, $19.99. The publisher is IDW Publishing. The writer is David M. Bucher. The artist is Drew Zucker, and the colors are by Vittorio Astone. The genre is fantasy, and I think it was originally released on July 1st. The ISBN number is 978-1-68405-621-7. And what it's about is enslaved for generations, Canto's people once had hearts. Now they have clocks. They're like the Tin Man from Oz. When slavers they are forbidden to love, yet Canto loves a little tin girl. When slavers damage her clock beyond repair, Canto embarks on a quest through this strange and fantastic world to find and retrieve her heart. Along the way, he faces fearsome creatures and makes unlikely friends, but can he conquer the mysterious entity who has taken their hearts to save the one he loves? Recommended for ages 10 and up, and I gave it a 5-star rating, and this is the book. And sorry about that. Here we go. Ooh, I didn't give any interior art for that book. That's right. And then that was the trade. And then there's a brand new issue called Canto and the Clockwood Fairies, which is a sort of a one-shot book, also from IDW Publishing for $3.99. That just came out this last week, July 21st. And Canto, the Clockwork Knight, and his Malarex, which is a kind of like a I don't know, some sort of beast that he has as a pet now, stumble into the lair of a witch who has captured dozens or maybe even hundreds of fairies and has removed their wings to replace them with clockwork ones. Cantor tries to fight the witch, not white the witch. He tries to fight the witch alone, but gets defeated. The witch underestimates him, however, and he and the Malarex get free and help the fairies escape, only they won't be safe until the threat of the witch is ended. What will Canto do to stop her? Again, recommended for ages 10 and up, rating 5 stars. And let's see, I got the artwork for that one. There we go. There's some of the artwork from the Kanto series. Some more artwork from the Kanto series. This is where he's actually woke up from being defeated, and he's talking to the one of the fairies that's trapped in the cage. And there's his Malarex that's caught and is passed out from being drugged by the witch. I actually think Kanto is one of the better series on the market right now. Definitely recommend it for anybody who has kids who want, if you like Wizard of Oz or you liked any of the Frank L. Baum or I'm trying to think of Lion Witch in the Wardrobe type stuff. If you like those kind of stories, this is a good series to pick up as a comic that you can share with your kids. Our next book is John Carpenter Presents Storm Kids Hyperbreed, number 5 of 5, $3.99. The publisher is Storm King Productions. The writer is the aforementioned Hall of Fame, Eisner Hall of Famer, Louise Simonson. The penciler is Guy Dorian Sr. The inkers are Sal Buscema and Scott Hanna, and the colors are by Ross Campbell, and the letters are by Janice Jiang, with a cover by Howard Chaykin and Yen Nitro. The genre is science fiction. And what it's about is our intrepid trio of smugglers have been captured by the Mox and their leader, I-5. Can they escape their captors and tell Earth of I-5's plans to annihilate the planet, or will they meet not a grisly end, but a grisly end? My typing this week was pretty bad, apparently. Recommended for ages 13 and up. Rating 4 stars. And here's some of the artwork. And as you can see, I-5 is this hand with a little eye in it up there. And for those who don't remember the past issue review, they captured him last issue, actually. And the guy that's the being that's stuck in I-5's chest is someone that I can't remember the character's name right now. But he's being absorbed into the guy's body, and all of his knowledge and skills are being absorbed into I-5. Boomer's the character that's being absorbed. But and here's where the trio escape and fight I-5 off. And I thought it was pretty well done series for what it is. The characters were actually created by John Carpenter, and Louise did the scripting. So, I wish that she would get more work in the mainstream, but maybe she will now again once she's a Eisner Hall of Famer or something to market her with. We'll see. Our next issues are Johnny Phantasm 1 through 3. In this particular page, issues 1 and 2 are pictured on the covers. The publisher is Riot Press Productions. The writer is Evan Posios, and the artist is Patrick Thomas Purnell. The genre is supernatural, superhero, and crime noir, and it was released earlier this month. What it's about, and I got this from I believe it was one of the Indiegogos I recently backed. What it's about is a young hitman named Johnny Don't Care gets cursed by a priest he murders and becomes a demonic gangster who runs New Detroit in the 1970s and faces various foes, both heroic and from within the mob. It's definitely a mature readers only title, and it's a 4-star rating. And here's the cover to issue number 3. And this also came with 4 different trading cards with different characters: the Siberian Tiger, the Red Wing, Scarlet Heart, Johnny Phantasm, and the Cyber Ninja. And if you flip them together on the back side of the cards, you get a big image of the head of Johnny Phantasm as well as Indiegogo. Okay. And here are some of the interior artwork. As you can see, even though all the women's parts are covered with pasties and stuff, it's it's a little risque. Definitely not a mature reader's book. It's printed on newsprint. It was actually printed by the Alterna people, I believe, but it was done through Riot Press. And then, let me go back real quick. You can see the newsprint type of grainness to it, and it looks good. But on the next page, I touched up a little bit with the digital, just so you see it a little bit better. This is where he kills the priest, who had gambling debts and stuff, and that's why he gets killed. And he makes he curses him with that, and that's what becomes how he becomes the demon. And then this is another one of the issues where he faces off against the Siberian Tiger as a wrestler, and they're in the ring, and he starts hitting Siberian Tiger left and right, and finally he just says, "You know what? I'm bored of you," and throws him out of the ring. So it's kind of funny. I enjoyed it for what it is. Let me see here. I thought that was showing. It wasn't. I'm sorry. Let me go back and show you. There's the interior art. And there's the Phantasm and the 4 trading cards that make the face. And those are the first 2 issues covers. And that's where he kills the priest. And this is where he faces off against the Siberian Tiger in the wrestling ring. Our next book is The Kill Lock, number 6 of 6. It's $3.99. It's the last issue of the series. Publisher is IDW Publishing. The writer and illustrator is Livio Romandelli. The genre is science fiction, and it was released yesterday, July 29th, 2020. And what it's about is the artisan, who's one of the 4 robots in the story, reveals his hand, and the revelation turns the entire story on its ear. He had actually personally generated this kill lock program combination himself and executed robots in order to get himself planted within the group of 4 as a plan to escape his programming and existence. The only problem was the judiciary figured him out and exchanged his intended robot in the foursome for the innocent new robot, which screwed up the artisan's plans completely. This is the first reveal at the very end of the story. But the artisan won't give up. He has a plan, but will it work? Can he save all 4 members of the group? And even if he can, what will that new existence, that survival, look like? It's an excellent read. I gave it 5 stars. It is easily one of the best comics of 2019, 2020, hands down. I think it should receive an Eisner Award nomination for Best Miniseries next year. It's really well done. I cannot give it enough praise. Recommended for ages 13 and up. And here's some of the artwork. And the artisan's looking at one of the robots he had planned to put in to use in his plan. And then it shows him here where he took the laborer and then the one robot that he was planning, and then the big prize that he wanted. And once he programmed all that and added himself into it, he then went and murdered other robots, which is a crime that he would be charged with as a defective robot. And then here it is. He's strapped down to the Killock station, and he's being told why. And he goes, well, I know why I'm being done. That's fine. And then he sees that they brought the new kid in, and that wasn't. He's like, oh, you mother. And then the Killock commences, and they're all locked to each other, and they wake up at a different point in time. The artisan finally explains this to the other three, what happened and why, and he uses the big robot to basically put them all in, all their psyches, all their AI programs in the big robot, which is the one that can survive the best from physical attacks. And that's how, I'm not going to say that's how it ends, because there's other parts of the story, but whether or not that's going to work or not, you have to kind of buy the book and see. Our next book is Midnight Sky number 5, and that's Scout Comics, $3.99. Writer is James Pruitt. The artist is Scott Van Domelin. The artist is Ilaria Fella. The genre is science fiction, alien invasion, post-apocalypse. Our STARSIDE friends should probably like that genre. It was released either in June or early July 2020. This is the regular cover. There's another alternate cover, which was like an homage to Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something, I think. Every cover, the artist does an homage to a famous science fiction horror movie. And I don't really like those. And unfortunately, my comic shop didn't get the regular cover. Diamond didn't ship it to them, so I just got it yesterday. But it's been out for about a month. What it's about, Jennifer, which is the one in the foreground on the left, it was the mother. Alejandro, who's the far guy in the center of the cover, and Alita, the sister, which is the one next to the dog, have been forced to leave the camp of survivors and are back out on their own. They make their way to an abandoned fairgrounds area and meet a young man who initially attacks them in self-defense, but they subdue him. But unbeknownst to them, the tiger owner from issue 3, there was a tiger owner that actually tried to feed Alejandro to his tiger. His name is Mississippi. He survived what happened in issue 3 and has been following them and now plans to kill them all. Will they be captured and or killed by their former nemesis, or are there even worse things awaiting them? Recommended for ages 16 and up. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. And this is the interior artwork. Early on, the fairgrounds look like a fortress, apparently. At least that's what Alejandro thinks. They have vehicles coming back and forth, and they've got gates and barbed wire fences and stuff like that towards it. And then there's another one, a different direction, that's not as heavily guarded, that has a hot air balloon that might get them someplace that they want to go as well. So they're going to go over to that one instead. And in the final panel, you see Mississippi following them in the shadows. Mm-hmm. Our next book is Plunge, number 5. This is the penultimate issue. I think there's one more issue to go with the series. $3.99. Publisher is DC Hill House, the Joe Hill imprint. Writer is Joe Hill. Artist is Stuart Immonen. The colors are by Dave Stewart. The genre is science fiction horror, and it was released yesterday, July 29th, 2020. What it's about is the scientists have figured out that the alien worm parasites that they've discovered want to reach an egg of some sort that's inside a submarine that they will hatch. Mariah, the female of their group of the scientists, has to dive to it and get into it, meaning the submarine, or the rest of the crew will die a horrible death from these aliens. Number 6 is the last issue. Immonen's art is doing fine. It carries the book. But for me, the plot is just dragging, and the story is kind of dull to me, unfortunately. I'm kind of nonplussed about it. But I've come this far, so I'll see where the story ends. It's a 17 and up type story. It's got graphic violence and gore and stuff in it. I gave this one a 2.5 star because like I said, the story just really isn't carrying for me, unfortunately. I wish it were a little bit better. Stuart's doing a great job on the art, though. So, maybe I would have, if I was not getting this in piecemeal and I was reading it as a trade, it would be better, all in one lump sum. I don't know, because previous issues got higher ratings. So I think maybe it's just that issue by issue, it's just getting a little bit tiresome for me, and I just want it to get over. Our next review. Oh, actually, here's some artwork from Stuart and Dave. And what they do here is the aliens who look like zombies, but they're actually the old crew of another ship that capsized, and they all died, and the worms took over their shells. They take the crew and they tie them up to these like columns near where the tide comes in, and apparently the water is supposed to be coming in heavy, and they're going to drown that way unless Moira puts on the diving suit and goes and gets the egg. Our next book is called Project Icarus. It's number 5, number 399. The publisher is Black Box Comics. The writer and inker is Andy Owens. The penciler is Patrick Blaine. The colorist is Tio Gonzalez. And the genre is superhero horror. It was released yesterday, July 29th, 2020. And what it's about is Maxwell and a slasher. Maxwell is a cop, a former cop, and the slasher is a serial killer that is broken free. Are forced to team up against the corrupt police force and their governmental conspirators who want them both dead. Only the government has a few tricks up their sleeves, and even the superhuman abilities of these two might not be enough. Can Maxwell figure out a way to get out of this predicament, bring justice to the slasher, and expose the conspiracy? Or will he and his associate Liz both end up dead in the end? It's recommended for ages 16 and up. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And this is the artwork. The slasher and Max are battling the SWAT team. As you can see, they're kind of bloodied up and shot up. They have healing factors, though, like Wolverine, so they'll be fine, sort of. It just take time. They can escape. Slasher's just kind of sitting there because he doesn't want to go out and just get shot up. And Maxwell's like, "What are you going to do? Are you helping me or not?" And so he hands him a stapler. And he goes, "Well, what am I supposed to do with this?" And what happens is he whips a stapler, and the stapler goes through someone's head, apparently. It's verbally described in the script. They didn't show it. But quite an interesting little gag there. But anyway, the next book is Rogue Planet number 3. It's 399. The publisher is Oni Press Lionforge. Writer is Cullen Bunn. The artist is Andy McDonald. The colorist is Nick Filardi. The genre is science fiction horror. Released July 29th. And what it's about in this issue is the away crew of the salvage ship, Cortez, race back to their ship only to find their fellow crew members either dead or missing. The crewman whose body they find explodes into a different entity and attacks them, and they barely destroy it. They decide to go find and try to rescue the 2 missing crew members, even though they could escape on their ship. Will they reach their missing crew in time before they are executed by the aliens? And even if they can rescue them, what horrors does the planet still have in store for them? Recommended for ages 16 and up. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. This is the scene where the dead body explodes and becomes like a human scorpion alien type thing. All the body and the bones reconfigure or whatever, and it attacks one of the other guys, and they end up shooting him, and they're like, "Wait a minute, that thing was already dead. How did it explode into that or whatever?" Pretty gruesome stuff. Oops, this is not the right thing. Let me check something here. I did not expect that to happen. Ah, okay. All right. We're going to go ahead and skip that one. I'll have to review it next week. I got a little bit of a problem with one of the books. The graphics weren't right on it. So we'll just go to the next book, and that is Usagi Yojimbo number 10. It's $3.99. The publisher is IDW Publishing. Writer artist is Stan Sakai with colors by Tom Luth. The genre is anthropomorphic martial arts adventure. It was released July 22nd of this year. And what it's about is Usagi visits his home province years after the war that led to his master's death. Recognized by an innkeeper, he is betrayed. And a group of swordsmen try to kill him for a reward on his person. He survives the fight, but at what cost? Recommended for all ages, 5 stars. Usagi always gets 5 stars. It's one of the best comics ever. And this is the artwork where he confronts the swordsman for the first time. And they confront him because they see him wearing his crest, his master's crest on his uniform. And they're not welcome, basically, because he's basically swearing fealty to his old master, so the master that's now in charge of the province. And he ends up beating up all the swordsmen without drawing his blade. And they go, okay, well, we'll go back to the inn because we were probably too drunk to fight him anyway. And they would. They mentioned that there maybe there's a reward for him, and the innkeeper goes, "There's a reward for him? Okay, I'll tell you all about him." And so they attack him again, and this time he's drawing swords, and he kills all of them. But the way Stan Sakai does the battle scenes, he doesn't really he doesn't show blood spurt or anything like that. He puts a little goofy little skull head as a voice balloon that says you're dead, which is fine. I think it's good. It makes it a lot easier for parents who are concerned about violence with their kids. They're not seeing too much gore or violence in that respect as a result. And our last book of the day is Usagi Yojimbo Classics number 5, $3.99. Same publisher and artist. This time the colors are by Rhonda Pattison, and it came out this week. And ironically, this is very funny that these two books came out the way they did, because in this issue, Usagi concludes his tale of how he became a wandering Ronin samurai and why he had to face his former friend Genichi in a duel to the death in the previous issue. And that's because of they show the death of his master, basically, in this issue. So the fact that they show death in the classics, and then in the newest issue of the current series, he's returning to the province where his master was killed. That was nice symmetry in how they released him, I thought. So there's that story, and then there's a second tale in this issue where Usagi battles a kappa, which is a Japanese vampire demon that has a bowl in his head and has water in the bowl. And if you can get him to spill his water out of his bowl in his head, you can defeat him, basically. And otherwise, you're gonna have a hard time defeating him because he's magical and he can mind control you and stuff like that. But he has a mysterious encounter from that, and I don't want to reveal that too much because it gives away the story. It's again recommended for all ages and 5 stars. And this is the scene where Genichi is fled, and his master asks Usagi where Genichi is, and he says fallen, meaning like he's dead, but not, he doesn't actually tell him that Genichi has run away from the fight. And then he's about to say, we got to get out of here or all is lost. And then the master gets shot by numerous arrows. And he gets his lord on a horse and escapes but his horse had been shot a lot by the enemy as well. And so his horse dies and stuff. And he buries his master so that the rival lord can't chop his head off and put it on a pike as a symbol of, I control the province. And that's why in the other issue, he's not liked and why he has a price on his head. So that's that for this week. For our reviews, I have one last thing to mention, and that is another Kickstarter product this week. We had Mark Andrew Smith on the show talking in the chat room. I posted some of this stuff earlier tonight. We talked about his series Gladstone for World Conquerors before. Let me see here. There we go. Yep. Alrighty. Let me go ahead and get the right screen shared. And that is Gladstone School for World Conquerors double features. They're going for $20,000 for their goal. They only got 4 days left. They're not quite 14,000. They got 306 backers. I have backed this series. I pledged $40 for the prints of the double issues. There's 4 stories total, 2 different stories with flip book stories telling different origin stories, so to speak, of each of the members of the cast. So we're going to go ahead and run that again.
Gladstone School for World Conquerors is the elite academy for the children of the world's greatest supervillains. Follow Kid Nefarious, Mummy Girl, Martian Jones, Ghost Girl, and the Skull Brothers as they immerse themselves in everything from intergalactic conquest to a history of villainy, and are even subjected to one of the vilest courses in the curriculum, Dodgeball! But everything isn't just homework, books, and their teachers' dirty looks. During their studies, Kid Nefarious and his friends read about their parents' defeat at the hands of a superhero named the Stormbreaker and vow revenge. What follows is a battle so fierce that its consequences shake their world to its very core. Once the dust settles, the kids begin to suspect their parents' infamous battles against the Stormbreaker might not be what they seem, leaving them with a far greater adversary looming on the horizon. Harvey and Eisner Award-winning writer Mark Andrew Smith and Harvey Award winner Armand Villebert join forces to guide you through the halls of Gladstone Supervillain Academy. Filled with stunning surprises, amazing action, and side-splitting laughs, Smith and Villebert take you on a journey to discover just what it takes to become a true world conqueror.
Now, this is basically, you can still buy the all the books for the Gladstone School for World Conquerors storyline, but this is initially for the double feature number 1, which has the Skull Brothers and Martian Jones. It's 64 pages. It's written by Eric Martinez. The Skull Brothers side is written by Eric Martinez and illustrated by Marcelo Di Chiara, with colors by Carlos Carrasco and lettering by Pat Rousseau. And the story is about figuring out the Skull Brothers start their application to get into school by submitting a video essay that features an all-out attack on the mysterious Lady Jianqi and her mob of vampire minions, which is an homage to 90s Hong Kong cinema classics. And there's 2 covers to that book. to that side of the book, I should say. Cover A by Quoth and cover B by Ben Templesmith. And a little bit closer artwork here of the Skull Brothers fam cover. I'll let you take a look at that for a second. Sorry about that, folks. Had a quick call downstairs. Anyway, this is the cover to one of the covers to the Skull Brothers cover. This is the fan cover, and this is the Ben Templesmith cover. And then some of the interior pages by Marcelo Di Chiara. I think Marcelo does a really nice job here. The Martian Jones story is by Eric Taggart as well, with art by Armand Villavert, the regular artist for Gladstones. The colors by Hakuto Oshiro, with lettering by Pat Brousseau. What do you do when you are a hyper-intelligent teenage villain with unlimited array of gadgets and way too much free time? Martian Jones, along with his trusty science projects Thing 1 and 2, find out that when you're a bored super genius, sometimes your worst enemy is yourself. In a Calvin and Hobbes-inspired romp, Marty must use his brains and brawn to battle it out with alternate dimension versions of himself. But will he make the grade? This is the two covers, Simone Darmini and Thomas Perkins. I'll go ahead and get a close-up look at those. And here's some of Armand's interior artwork. And then there's a second issue, which is 44 pages with Ghost Girl and Mummy Girl. And those are written by Eric Martinez. The Ghost Girl one is written by Eric Martinez with Armand and Hakuto again as the art team. Covered by Meredith McLaren and Rob Mommertz, different covers. And then there's some of the interior pages by Armand. And then there's Mummy Girl, which is written by Justin Robinson and illustrated by Armand with colors by Hakuto. And it has a Jill Thompson cover and then a Hakuto Oshiro cover. And again, here's some of Armand's interior art for Mommy Girl. You can also order the hardcovers for Gladstone School for World Conquerors 1, 2, and 3. I should have brought them over here, but they're very good books. I've enjoyed all 3 of them. I've gotten all 3 in the past from them. And they're pretty thick books. And there's also the Kid Nefarious one-shot, which you can order, which was done last year. And it's where Kid Nefarious gets in trouble at school, and he has to pretend to be a superhero and fight off against another girl who he ends up having a crush on. And it has a little bit interesting experience. You can also get an Armand deliberate commission of your choosing and other things. You can spend $40 or more for both double features with both covers, which is what I paid for. You can pledge any number amount for without a reward. You can pledge 15 or more and get 1 copy of Ghost Girl and Mummy Girl, or 20 for the Skull Brothers and Martian Jones. There's other ones, other platforms as well. Now, part of the reason I keep promoting this particular book at 70% of its goal, even though it's only got 4 days to go and it's kind of low, is because I will be doing extra work with them if it reaches its goal. There'll be a print of this in color. This is Martian Jones. This is my illustration work. And this is my hand color guide of the piece, but it's going to be computer colored. I have not seen a finalized color edition yet. And there may also be some other goodies that I will add into the account or into the Kickstarter as well if they reach their goal. So I'd appreciate it, because a lot of people are saying, hey, you haven't put out work in a long time, BR. You need to put out something. Well, the best way to do it is help back this project and get us to the point so that we can get something mine out there in the world again. So, that's our additional crowdfund mention for this week. I want to thank you all for watching this week. And I want to thank my guests, Dylan and Klein and Lane Brettschneider. I didn't remember the last name. And also our other guest, Jeremy Massie, for being here tonight. And please be sure to support their books, STARSIDE and HOLLER. And in closing, you can reach me on Facebook at lewis.brightraven, at deviantart.com/brightraven, here on YouTube at Quoth the Raven, Lewis Brightraven, at Gmail at quoththeravenlbr72@gmail.com. If you can't reach me at there and you want to try and reach me via email, try lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. The podcast normally airs on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Daylight Time, however you prefer to phrase it. And my computer is being fussy. All right. Hopefully this will work. But that being said, I bid you all adieu. Have a safe and festive weekend. And we'll see you next week. Next week, I will be reviewing Ginseng Roots by Craig Thompson. Suncatcher. I don't remember the person who does that book. It's another rock and roll type comic. And Once in Future by Kieran Guillen, and I think it's Dan Mora from Boom, about the King Arthur book, which was Eisner nominated. I think I won an Eisner this year. I have to go check that before I did a review on that. And some other titles as well. And we haven't got our guests for next week scheduled yet. Hopefully we'll have someone schedule in. But until then, I'll see you guys next week.